I don't want a husband who only earns $900 a month, I said. There was silence on the other end of the phone. Maybe my mother-in-law was shocked. Hello? Are you still there? The mother of a man who makes $900 a month? What are you talking about? She finally asked. I'm saying Aaron earns $900 a month from his part-time job. I think you're mistaken. You're missing a zero. No, I'm not. He earns $900 a month, that's it. My name is Maria, and I'm 29 years old. I've been married to Aaron for 5 years, and we've been living in a small apartment ever since. We don't have kids yet. Life isn't luxurious, but it's simple and happy. We both do work we enjoy, and there's little stress. But 6 months ago, things started to change. My mother-in-law, who lives nearby, decided she wanted to move in with us. Aaron and I tried to explain that we couldn't make it work, but she wouldn't listen. What surprised me even more was that Aaron started taking her side. That was the beginning of our problems, and things only got worse. My father-in-law passed away a few years ago, so my mother-in-law had been living alone in her house. She was managing just fine, but now she claimed she couldn't stay there anymore. She said she felt unsafe and uncomfortable. But that wasn't the whole truth. Her house was old and needed major repairs. Instead of spending money to fix it, she decided she wanted to live with us. That way, she could avoid the costs altogether. When we got married, Aaron promised me we wouldn't live with his parents. Their house is only 10 minutes away, so if she ever needs help, we can always be there. Besides, my mother-in-law has never liked me. Even before the wedding, she'd make snide comments about me. Now, whenever we talk, she still throws in little jabs. If we lived together, I know she'd become even harder to deal with. Recently, she quit her part-time job and is now unemployed. If she moved in, we'd have to cover her expenses too, and with our current finances, we just can't do that. But she doesn't seem to care. Don't act so proud when my son is the one supporting you, she snapped. I told her I work from home and contribute financially too, but she ignored me. She kept insisting that Aaron's income was enough to live well. The truth is, we can't survive on his income alone. I asked her if she even knew how much Aaron makes each month. Of course I know, he's my son, and you're lucky to have a husband who's so successful, she said confidently. Really? I asked. If Aaron's part-time salary was so impressive, then she clearly didn't know the reality of his earnings. My mother-in-law spoke to me in her usual condescending tone. I'll take care of the housework so you can go to work. You're not managing the finances well when my son makes so much money. You must be a big spender, aren't you? No, I've told you before, I work from home. I'm not a spender. I work hard and save money, I said firmly. Well, money aside, this apartment is too small for 3 adults, she added casually. So, I replied, exactly, that's why we can't live together. But she just shrugged. Then why don't you move to a bigger place, or maybe buy a house? To my shock, Aaron, as though he'd been hypnotized, started agreeing with her. Was he unable to stand up to his mother, or did he really want to live with her? He began telling me to stop being so stubborn and even said something that shook me to the core. It's more fun to live with my mom, isn't it? What? I asked, completely stunned. She'll help with the housework, Maria. It'll make your life easier too, he said like it was a perfectly reasonable suggestion. Aaron was now fully on board with his mom's plan. I didn't know what to do. I resisted for as long as I could, but then he did something drastic. One day, while I was out, he packed his things and left. When I got home and realized all his belongings were gone, I called him immediately. Where are you? Why is all your stuff gone? I moved out, he said simply. What? Why? You didn't want to live with Mom, so I bought a house. Problem solved, he said. Bought a house? With what money? That's when I heard my mother-in-law's voice on the phone. That's right, Aaron and I will live in the new house together for a while. Maybe you can join us later, after you've had time to think things over. By the way, can you even afford to stay in that apartment on your own? You should be grateful. I hung up. I could hear her sarcastic remarks as I ended the call, but I didn't care anymore. A house? They're lying. There's no way they could afford a house with their financial situation. I didn't even want to know where they went. I realized then and there, I can live on my own. I don't need my husband or his overbearing mother. I'm capable of supporting myself, and that's all I need right now. I had been paying the rent with my own money from the beginning, so I wasn't worried about managing without my husband. In fact, I started seriously thinking about divorce. A few days later, I got a surprising phone call. "Hey, Maria, it's your brother, Tom. Long time no talk. Did you know Aaron and his mom are at my house?" "What?" "Tom owns a house, but after buying it, he got transferred for work. Since then, I've been in charge of managing it." "Wait a second," I said, rushing to check the safe in my bedroom. The key to Tom's house was gone. "Tom, the key is missing. Did you call Aaron about it?" "No, I'm actually outside the house right now, watching. I think I know what's going on, but I'm not sure what to do." "We can call the police," Tom said. "Maybe, but Aaron is still family. Technically, I'm not sure if the police will get involved right away." "You're right, don't worry, I'll handle it in a couple of days. Can you wait a bit?" "Okay, let me know if you need anything from me." After hanging up, I immediately called Aaron. "Oh, I hope you're feeling sorry now," said my mother-in-law when she answered the phone. "Where are you?" I asked. "Oh, you don't sound sorry at all," she sneered. "Where are you?" I repeated. "I don't need to tell you anything. You must be desperate without my son's $9,000 monthly salary," she said smugly. $9,000 salary? Who are you talking about?" "Of course, Aaron. My son has enough money to buy this wonderful house," she replied, laughing. I couldn't help but laugh too. "What's so funny?" she snapped. "Aaron said he'd divorce me if I didn't listen to him." "That's fine with me," I said. "How stubborn are you? If he leaves you, you won't survive on your own." "Actually, I can manage just fine. I don't need a husband who only earns $900 a month." There was silence on the other end of the line. "Hello? Are you still there? The mother of a man who only makes $900 a month? What are you talking about?" she finally asked. "I'm saying Aaron earns $900 a month from his part-time job. You must be missing a zero." "No, I'm not. It's $900. When I asked Aaron about his income, he said, around 9. That's what he meant, $900, not 9,000. It seemed hard for her to believe. "Just so you know," I continued, "it's thanks to my salary that we've been able to cover all our expenses. My salary is $5,000, not $500. As you probably think, I'm not being supported by Aaron. He quit his full-time job years ago and only works part-time, 3 days a week." My mother-in-law didn't respond. I decided to add one final blow. "Oh, and by the way, the house you're living in now, the one you think Aaron bought for you, it actually belongs to my brother." "That's not true. Aaron bought this house for me." "No, it's my brother's house. He gave me the key, and Aaron took it without permission. What you and Aaron have done is a crime. I'm going to report it to the police." "Wait, please don't call the police," she screamed. "Then leave the house immediately," I said. Before I could say more, my mother-in-law hung up, still shouting in a panic. I figured my husband and his mother were probably arguing after our phone call. Later, when I went to check on my brother's house, they were gone. They must have rushed back to her house in a panic. I called my brother right away and apologized for the trouble my husband had caused. But there was still one thing left to do: divorce my selfish husband. I filled out the divorce papers and sent them to my in-laws' house. Not long after, my husband called me, sounding desperate. "You're joking, right? I'm really sorry about the house. Please reconsider." "I can't stay married to a thief," I told him coldly. "Go ahead and live happily with your mother, since you love her so much. I can't live without you. Then get a full-time job. Good luck making that $9,000 salary you like to brag about." Even though I was firm, my husband refused to sign the papers, so I brought in a lawyer, and the divorce went through without much trouble. Finally, I was free of him and his overbearing mother. Now, my husband and mother-in-law live together in their old, rundown house. He's still earning $900 a month from his part-time job, and she had to start working part-time again, too. They fight constantly, and she complains to him every day. As for me, I moved out of the apartment and into a new place. I no longer have to support my husband, and my life is much more peaceful. I've been able to focus more on my work from home, and my income has been steadily growing. Soon, I'll save enough to buy a house of my own. Looking back, my husband didn't appreciate his own situation. If he had thought about it properly, he would have realized how lucky he was to have me, but he didn't, and now he's stuck living with his mother, struggling to make ends meet. I'm glad I divorced him. My life is better now, and I'm finally free to enjoy my peace and independence. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to the channel if you like. See you in the next video.
The day Easton chose his family over me still plays in my mind like a broken record. I remember standing in our kitchen, watching him pack his things while his mother's words echoed through our apartment. She'll never be good enough for a Lynch. My name is Delilah, and I was naive enough to believe love could bridge any gap. I grew up waiting tables and studying nights, while Easton grew up in a mansion with a silver spoon in his mouth. But when we met at that coffee shop where I worked, none of that seemed to matter. "You can't just leave," I said, my voice barely a whisper, as he stuffed his expensive shirts into a suitcase. "After everything we've been through." Easton wouldn't look at me. "My family, they're right, Delilah. We come from different worlds." I tried to make them understand, but what? My background isn't prestigious enough. My father wasn't a CEO. The coffee mug in my hand trembled. "I thought you were different. You don't understand the pressure I'm under," he said, finally meeting my eyes. "The family business, our reputation." "No, you don't understand," I cut him off. "I loved you despite your family's money, not because of it." The doorbell rang, making us both jump. Tiffany, his mother, stood there in her designer suit, perfectly manicured nails drumming against her purse. She barely acknowledged my presence as she walked in. "Easton, darling, the car is waiting," she said, her voice dripping with artificial sweetness. "Your father is expecting us for dinner." I watched as Easton's shoulders slumped in defeat. The man I married, who once promised to stand by me through anything, was crumbling under his mother's gaze. "You should have seen this coming, dear," Tiffany said to me, her smile never reaching her eyes. "Someone like you, well, you must have known this was temporary." My best friend Bridget had warned me about the Lynches. "They're old money," she'd said. "They'll never accept someone they consider beneath them." I'd dismissed her concerns, believing Easton's love would be enough. "Someone like me." I stepped closer to Tiffany. "You mean someone who worked her way through college? Someone who knows the value of hard work?" "Mother, please," Easton interrupted. But Tiffany raised her hand to silence him. "Someone common," she replied. "We have certain standards to maintain. Surely you understand." The weight of my wedding ring suddenly felt like lead. I slipped it off my finger and placed it on the counter with a soft clink. "I understand perfectly. I understand that your son isn't half the man I thought he was." Easton flinched. "Delilah, don't what? Don't make this harder. You've made your choice, Easton. You chose them." I turned to Tiffany. "Congratulations, you've won. But remember this moment, because I promise you'll regret it." "Is that a threat?" Tiffany's perfectly shaped eyebrows rose. "No," I smiled, feeling a strange calm wash over me. "It's a promise to myself." I grabbed my keys and walked toward the door, pausing only to look back at Easton one last time. He stood there, trapped between his mother and his suitcase, looking lost and small. "You know what's funny?" I said. "I actually felt sorry for you, growing up with parents like these, but now I see you're exactly like them." The door closed behind me with a satisfying thud. In my car, I called Bridget, my hands shaking as I held the phone. "He's gone," I managed to say, before the tears started. "I'm coming over," she said immediately. "Pack your bags. You're staying with me." "I can't just." "Yes, you can, and you will. This isn't the end of your story, Delilah. It's just the beginning." As I drove away from the apartment I'd shared with Easton, I caught a glimpse of Tiffany's car in my rearview mirror. Mother and son, heading back to their privileged bubble. They thought they'd broken me, but they'd only succeeded in setting me free. That night, curled up on Bridget's couch with a glass of wine, I made myself another promise. I would rebuild my life, piece by piece, until the day came when Easton and his family would realize exactly what they'd thrown away. "To new beginnings," Bridget raised her glass. "To revenge served cold," I replied, surprising myself with the steel in my voice. Little did they know, the humble waitress they'd dismissed would soon become their worst nightmare. Not through malice or schemes, but through the simple act of rising above their expectations and succeeding beyond their wildest dreams. "You can't mope around my apartment forever," Bridget announced one morning, yanking open the curtains. "It's been 2 weeks." I pulled the blanket over my head, but she wasn't having it. "I'm not moping," I muttered. "I'm strategizing." "Is that what we're calling watching sad movies and eating ice cream now?" She sat on the edge of the couch. "Come on, I've got something to show you." Reluctantly, I followed her to her home office, where her laptop displayed a commercial space for rent in downtown. The price made me wince. "Before you say no," Bridget held up her hand. "Hear me out. Remember those organic skincare products you used to make? The ones everyone at the wedding raved about?" I nodded. It had started as a hobby, mixing natural ingredients in my kitchen to create face masks and moisturizers. Even Tiffany had unknowingly complimented my homemade face cream at the wedding. Before she knew about my background. "There's a massive market for clean, sustainable beauty products," Bridget continued, "and you already have the perfect formula." "That was just for fun," I protested. "I can't start a business. I don't have the money or experience or what?" "The right family name." Bridget's words hit home. "Stop letting them live rent-free in your head." The bell above the coffee shop door chimed as we entered later that day. I needed caffeine to process Bridget's suggestion, but fate had other plans. "Excuse me," a man in a sharp suit called out as I walked past his table. "I couldn't help overhearing your conversation about natural skincare products." I froze, embarrassed that our excited chatter had disturbed someone. "I'm so sorry if we were too loud." No. He stood, extending his hand. "I'm Leonard. I work in business development, and I'm always looking for innovative ideas. Would you mind sharing more about your products?" Before I could decline, Bridget jumped in. "She'd love to. In fact, she has samples in her bag right now." I shot her a look, but she just grinned and pushed me toward the chair opposite Leonard. Reluctantly, I pulled out the small jar of face cream I always carried. Leonard examined the product, asking detailed questions about ingredients, production costs, and target market. His eyes lit up when I explained my commitment to sustainable packaging. "You know," he said, sliding his business card across the table, "I mentor startups in their early stages. Your idea has potential, but more importantly, you have something rare: passion and authenticity." I stared at the card. "Why would you want to help me?" "Because 15 years ago, someone took a chance on me when I was starting out. Sometimes all it takes is one person believing in you." He smiled. "Think about it. Call me if you're interested." After he left, Bridget practically bounced in her seat. "This is it. The universe is literally throwing opportunities at you, or setting me up for another fall," I said. But I couldn't deny the spark of excitement in my chest. That night, I pulled out my old recipe journal. Pages of carefully documented formulations, customer feedback from friends, cost calculations. It was all there. I'd stopped when Easton's family made it clear they found my kitchen experiments embarrassing. The next morning, I called Leonard. 3 months later, I stood in my own small production space, surrounded by mixing equipment and natural ingredients. Leonard had helped me secure a small business loan and guided me through the licensing process. The space wasn't much, but it was mine. To Freeman Naturals, Bridget raised a glass of champagne as we celebrated the official opening. "You did it, girl." "We did it," I corrected her, including Leonard in my gesture. "I couldn't have done this without either of you." "Actually, you could have," Leonard said. "You just needed to believe it was possible." Speaking of which, there's a trade show next month. Perfect opportunity to launch your brand. Isn't that the one where all the luxury beauty brands showcase? My stomach churned. "I'm not ready for that." "You're more ready than you think," he insisted. "Success is the best revenge, Delilah. Trust me." As I looked around my small but growing business, I felt something I hadn't experienced since before Easton left. Pride. Pure, unfiltered pride in something I'd built with my own hands. "Okay," I said, squaring my shoulders. "Sign me up for the trade show. It's time to show the world what this common girl can do. Bridget hugged me tight. The Lynches won't know what hit them. No, I smiled, feeling stronger than I had in months. They won't. Your booth location is terrible, Leonard said, scanning the trade show floor plan. But we can work with it. I stood in the massive convention center, watching workers set up elaborate displays for major beauty brands. My modest booth felt like a rowboat among luxury yachts. Remember, Leonard continued, you're not just selling products, you're selling a story. Your story. A story about getting dumped by my rich husband? I quipped, arranging sample jars on our small counter. No, he said firmly, a story about a woman who created something authentic and beautiful from scratch. These big brands, they're all smoke and mirrors. You're the real deal. The first day of the show was overwhelming. Buyers and journalists rushed past our booth, drawn to the flashier displays. I felt my confidence wavering until a woman in her 60s stopped to try our sample face cream. This texture is divine, she said, closing her eyes as she applied it. And the scent, so subtle, so natural. It's all organic, I explained, warming to her genuine interest. The rose oil is sourced from a small family farm in Oregon. I'm Margaret from Bloom Beauty, she said. We have boutiques in several major cities. Would you be interested in discussing wholesale options? By afternoon, we had 3 potential retail partners and a growing crowd around our booth. People were drawn to the simplicity of our packaging and the authenticity of our approach. See? Leonard grinned. The truth sells itself. Then I heard a familiar voice that made my blood freeze. Well, if it isn't the kitchen chemist, Noelle drawled, sauntering up to our booth. She'd been Tiffany's favorite choice for Easton, the daughter of another wealthy family. How quaint. Can I help you try something? I asked professionally, though my hands shook slightly. Oh, I'm not here to buy, she smirked. I represent Luxe Beauty now. We're launching our new premium organic line next month. Just wanted to see what the competition was up to. I noticed her eyes scanning our display, lingering on our order book. Well, good luck with your launch, I said firmly. If you'll excuse me, I have customers waiting. After she left, Leonard squeezed my shoulder. Don't let her rattle you. She's worried, or she wouldn't have come over. The next day brought even more success. A popular beauty blogger raved about our night cream on social media, sending a flood of visitors to our booth. By closing time, we'd sold out of several products and had a waiting list for more. We need to scale up production, Leonard said as we packed up. And fast. I know some manufacturers who… No, I interrupted. We're keeping production in-house. Quality control is everything. He smiled. That's exactly what I hoped you'd say, but you'll need a bigger facility, more staff. Then that's what we'll do, I said, surprising myself with my certainty. I won't compromise on quality, ever. The final day of the show, I arrived early to find a sophisticated woman waiting at our booth. She introduced herself as the beauty director of a major magazine. Your brand has created quite a buzz, she said. Would you be interested in being featured in our Rising Stars section? As we discussed the details, I noticed Noelle watching from her luxurious booth across the aisle. Her expression sour. The magazine feature would come out just before Luxe Beauty's organic line launch. Perfect timing, Leonard whispered after the beauty director left. Sometimes karma works faster than expected. That evening, as we celebrated our success at a nearby restaurant, Leonard handed me an envelope. Inside was an invitation to speak at an upcoming charity gala. The theme is innovation and sustainability in beauty, he explained. They want you to share your journey. I stared at the invitation, my heart racing when I saw the event details. The Lynch Foundation was one of the main sponsors. You don't have to accept, Leonard said gently, reading my expression. Yes, I do, I replied, my voice stronger than I felt. It's time to show them exactly who I've become. Bridget raised her glass. To facing our fears head on. To karma, Leonard added with a knowing smile. I touched my glass to theirs, thinking about how far I'd come from that broken woman in Bridget's apartment. My small business was growing beyond my wildest dreams, and now I had a platform to tell my story, my real story, to authenticity, I said, and to never letting anyone make you feel small again. As we toasted, my phone buzzed with another order notification. Success, I was learning, truly was the sweetest revenge. "You're fidgeting again," Bridget said, adjusting my blazer in the mirror. The charity gala was 3 days away, and we were at my final fitting. "I'm not fidgeting," I protested, though my fingers wouldn't stop smoothing the silk fabric. "I'm just making sure everything's perfect. The dress is perfect. Your speech is perfect. You're perfect." She turned me to face her. "What's really bothering you?" Before I could answer, my phone buzzed. Another message from Leonard. "Just confirmed. Entire Lynch family RSVP'd, yes, including Easton." My stomach lurched. Maybe I should back out. "Like hell you will," Bridget snapped. "You've worked too hard for this moment." The boutique owner approached with a garment bag. "The alterations are complete, Ms. Freeman. Would you like to try it on one more time?" I shook my head, already feeling suffocated. "I need air." Outside, I leaned against the building, taking deep breaths. A familiar voice made me jump. "Delilah." I turned to see Ricardo, Easton's father, standing there in his usual impeccable suit. Of all the streets in the city. "Hello, Ricardo," I managed, straightening my spine. He looked older than I remembered, more gray at his temples. "I heard you're speaking at the gala." "That's right." I met his gaze steadily. "About my company's commitment to sustainable beauty." "Yes, well," he cleared his throat. "Tiffany and I were surprised to see your name on the program." "I bet you were." I couldn't help the edge in my voice. "Surprised that the waitress you dismissed built a successful company." He had the grace to look uncomfortable. "About that, perhaps we were—" "Save it," I cut him off. "I have a fitting to finish." Back inside, Bridget took one look at my face and knew. "What happened?" "Just ran into Ricardo," I said, slipping into the dress. "He tried to apologize, or maybe he was going to warn me to stay away from the gala. I didn't stick around to find out." "Good," she said firmly. "You don't owe them anything." That evening, I buried myself in work at the office, reviewing production schedules and order fulfillment. A knock at the door startled me. "You're here late," Leonard said, walking in with takeout bags. "Thought you might need dinner and moral support." I grabbed a container of pad thai. "I ran into Ricardo today." "Ah." He sat down. And nothing." I walked away. I pushed the noodles around. But seeing him brought everything back. The way they looked at me, like I was dirt on their shoes. "Good," Leonard said, surprising me. "Use that feeling. Channel it into your speech." "I don't want revenge anymore," I admitted. "I just want to prove them wrong." "That's exactly why you'll succeed." He pulled out his tablet. "Now, let's review your presentation one more time." The next few days passed in a blur of preparations. The magazine feature about Freeman Naturals hit newsstands, causing our online orders to explode. I barely had time to think about the gala until the morning of. "The car's here," Bridget called through my bedroom door. "Are you ready?" I stared at my reflection. The woman in the mirror looked confident, successful. No trace of the heartbroken girl who'd fled her apartment a year ago. "Almost," I called back, reaching for my grandmother's necklace, the only family heirloom I had. As I fastened it, my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "I heard you're speaking tonight. We need to talk. Easton." My hands shook as I deleted the message without responding. "Delilah," Bridget poked her head in. "You okay?" "Easton just texted." I showed her my phone. "He wants to talk." "Of course he does," she scoffed. "Now that you're successful, now that you're speaking at their precious charity event, don't let him get in your head." She was right. I grabbed my clutch and speech notes. Let's go show them what they missed out on. In the car, Leonard called to review last-minute details. "Remember, you're on right after Noelle from Luxe Beauty. Don't let her presentation rattle you." "I won't." I promised, watching the city lights blur past. I'm done letting any of them affect me. But as we pulled up to the Grand Hotel, seeing the Lynch Foundation banner hanging above the entrance, my heart raced. Somewhere inside, my past and present were about to collide. Ready? Bridget squeezed my hand. I took a deep breath, thinking of how far I'd come. Ready. The ballroom buzzed with the city's elite, champagne glasses clinking, and diamonds glittering under crystal chandeliers. I spotted Tiffany holding court near the stage, wearing her signature pearls and condescending smile. Deep breaths, Bridget whispered, steering me toward our assigned table. You're not that girl anymore, Leonard intercepted us, tablet in hand. Change of plans. They've moved you up in the speaking order. You're now before Noelle, not after. What? Why? Because, a silky voice interrupted. I requested it. Noelle appeared, wearing a dress that probably cost more than my first month's rent. I prefer to close the show. The schedule was set weeks ago, Leonard argued. Noelle's smile didn't reach her eyes. Things change. By the way, Delilah, have you said hello to Easton yet? He's been asking about you. My comeback was cut short by the event coordinator calling speakers for a final briefing. As I walked away, I heard Noelle's theatrical whisper, "Poor thing, she still looks so provincial." The speaker's preparation room was mercifully empty. I reviewed my notes, trying to ignore the muffled sounds of the gathering crowd. The door opened, and my heart stopped. Delilah. Easton stood there, more gray in his hair than I remembered, looking uncertain in a way that once would have made me want to comfort him. "Don't," I said, gathering my papers. "Whatever you're going to say, just don't." "You look amazing," he pressed on. "I've been following your success, the magazine feature. Funny how my success suddenly makes me worth talking to." I moved toward the door, but he blocked my path. "I made a mistake," he said quietly. "I let my family—" "No." I met his eyes. "You didn't let them do anything. You chose them. Own your choice." "Ms. Freeman," the coordinator poked her head in. "You're on in 5 minutes." I pushed past Easton, but his next words froze me. "I miss you." Turning slowly, I laughed, a sharp cold sound that surprised us both. "You miss me? Now that I'm successful? Now that I've proven I'm not just some waitress? How convenient." His face flushed. "That's not fair." "Fair." I stepped closer. "Was it fair when your mother called me common? When your father suggested I was a gold digger? When you stood there and said nothing?" The coordinator appeared again, more urgently this time. I straightened my spine and walked past Easton without another glance. In the hallway, I nearly collided with Tiffany. She wore the same perfume that used to fill their mansion, the one that had always given me a headache. "Delilah, darling," she cooed, as if we were old friends. "I must say, your little business venture is quite impressive for someone of your background." "Thank you, Tiffany," I smiled sweetly. "It's amazing what someone of my background can achieve without riding on their family's coattails." Her face tightened, but before she could respond, I was being ushered toward the stage. Through the curtain, I could see Noelle in the front row, smirking. The Lynches sat at their reserved table, Easton's empty chair between his parents. And now, the host announced, speaking about sustainable innovation in beauty, "Please welcome the founder and CEO of Freeman Naturals, Delilah Freeman." The spotlight hit me as I walked out, my heels clicking against the hardwood stage. From the corner of my eye, I saw Easton slip back into his seat. "Good evening," I began, my voice steady despite my racing heart. "A year ago, I was told I wasn't good enough, that my background made me unworthy of certain circles." The Lynch table shifted uncomfortably. Tiffany's pearls gleamed as she lifted her chin defiantly. "But here's what I learned," I continued, gaining strength. "Success isn't about where you come from. It's about authenticity, determination, and staying true to your values." I launched into my presentation about sustainable beauty practices, but I could feel the undercurrent of my words hitting their mark. Every achievement I mentioned was a subtle reminder of what they'd dismissed. Noelle's smile had turned brittle. Easton couldn't take his eyes off me. And Tiffany. Tiffany looked like she'd swallowed something sour. As I concluded, the applause was thunderous. Leonard gave me a subtle thumbs up from his table. Bridget was beaming. "Thank you," I said into the microphone, then added with a pointed look at the lunch table. "Sometimes rejection is just redirection to something better." Walking off stage, I felt lighter than I had in months. I'd faced my past and emerged stronger. The night wasn't over, but I'd already won. The applause had barely died down when Noelle took the stage, her voice syrupy sweet as she began her presentation. I slipped into the back of the ballroom, not wanting to give her the satisfaction of my full attention. Quite a speech. Leonard appeared beside me, offering a glass of champagne. "But the real show's about to begin." "What do you mean?" He nodded toward Noelle, who was unveiling Luxe Beauty's new organic line. "Watch carefully." As Noelle described their product's revolutionary natural formulation, something familiar caught my eye. The ingredient list she was displaying looked eerily similar to mine. "Is that?" I started. "Your formula?" "With minor tweaks, yes." Leonard's expression was grim. "She must have copied it during the trade show, when she was hovering around our booth." My hands clenched around my champagne glass. "That's illegal." "Precisely." He pulled out his phone, showing me photos he'd taken of my original formula documentation. "I had a feeling something like this might happen. That's why I insisted on patenting your formulations months ago." The room erupted in gasps as Noelle's presentation suddenly cut out, replaced by a legal notice on the screen behind her. "Ms. Simmons," a man in a suit approached the stage. "I represent Freeman Naturals' legal team. We need to discuss your company's patent infringement immediately." Noelle's perfectly composed facade cracked. "This is ridiculous. I don't know what you're talking about. The formulation you're presenting," he continued loudly, "is protected under patent number 789324, registered to Freeman Naturals 6 months ago." The ballroom erupted in whispers. I saw Tiffany frantically whispering to Ricardo, while Easton sat frozen, staring at Noelle with dawning comprehension. "You knew," I said to Leonard. "You knew she'd try this." "I suspected. Companies like Luxe Beauty don't innovate, they appropriate. But we were ready." Noelle stormed off the stage, her face red with fury. She made a beeline for me, but security intercepted her halfway. "You planned this," she hissed as they escorted her out. "You set me up." "No," I called after her. "You did that all by yourself." The event coordinator quickly tried to restore order, but the damage was done. Journalists who'd come to cover a charity gala now had a much juicier story. "Delilah," Bridget rushed over. "Have you seen your phone? The story's already breaking on social media. Luxe Beauty's stock is dropping." Before I could respond, Tiffany appeared before me, her face tight with barely controlled rage. "You've made your point. Are you happy now? Destroying reputations." "I didn't destroy anything," I replied calmly. "Your friend tried to steal my work. The truth just caught up with her." "The truth?" she scoffed. "The truth is, you'll never belong in this world, no matter how successful you become." "Mother, stop." Easton's voice cut through the tension. He'd approached without me noticing. "Haven't you done enough?" Tiffany recoiled, as if slapped. "Easton, surely you can't be defending her." "I should have defended her a year ago." He turned to me. "Delilah, I know it's too late, but I'm sorry. I was a coward." "Yes," I agreed. "You were." Ricardo joined us, looking older than ever. Perhaps we all were wrong about you, Delilah." "Perhaps?" I laughed softly. "You know what the difference is between you and me. I never needed your approval. I just needed to believe in myself." A reporter approached, notebook in hand. "Ms. Freeman, could we get a statement about the patent infringement?" "Of course," I smiled. Turning away from the lynches, "I believe in protecting innovation and authentic creation. That's what Freeman Naturals stands for." As I spoke with the reporter, I could feel Easton's eyes on me. But it didn't matter anymore. The butterflies in my stomach were gone, replaced by a steady certainty. Leonard touched my elbow. "Ready to get out of here?" We have an early meeting tomorrow with 3 major retailers who just canceled their Luxe Beauty orders. Actually, I said, I'd like to stay a bit longer. This is turning out to be quite an entertaining evening. Bridget linked her arm through mine. That's my girl. Besides, you haven't even touched the dessert buffet yet. As we walked away, I heard Tiffany's sharp intake of breath, probably shocked that I wasn't skulking away in shame. But I had nothing to be ashamed of. Every step I'd taken, every success I'd achieved, had been earned through hard work and integrity. The night wasn't turning out anything like I'd expected. It was turning out better. The morning after the gala, my office was flooded with calls and emails. News of Noelle's patent infringement had spread like wildfire through the beauty industry. Your inbox is exploding, Bridget announced, bursting into my office with coffee. 3 major department stores want to carry our line, and that magazine wants a follow-up interview. I barely had time to respond before Leonard walked in, looking unusually serious. We need to talk. Luxe Beauty's lawyers are here. My stomach dropped, but I straightened my spine and nodded. Send them in. 2 stern-faced attorneys entered, followed by Noelle herself. She looked nothing like the polished socialite from last night. Her eyes were red-rimmed, her designer outfit slightly wrinkled. Let's make this quick, one lawyer began. We're prepared to offer a settlement. No, I interrupted. No settlements. Noelle leaned forward. Be reasonable, Delilah. Name your price. My price? I stood up slowly. You tried to steal something I built from nothing, something I created while you and your friends were mocking me for being common. I admit I made a mistake, she said, her voice cracking. But this scandal is destroying my family's company. Please. The irony wasn't lost on me. Here was Noelle, begging the woman she'd looked down on for so long. Here's what's going to happen, I said, surprising myself with my calm tone. You're going to publicly admit what you did. You're going to apologize to your customers for trying to sell them stolen formulations. And you're going to step down from your position. That's outrageous, one lawyer protested. No, Noelle whispered. She's right. Everyone in the room turned to stare at her. I was jealous, she continued. You built something real, while I was just trading on my family name. I thought I could take a shortcut. Leonard cleared his throat. We'll have our lawyers draft the agreement. You'll make the announcement by end of day. After they left, Bridget hugged me tight. That was amazing. But why didn't you take their money? Because this was never about money, I replied. It was about truth. My phone buzzed, Easton calling again. I declined the call, but a text followed immediately. Please, just 5 minutes, I'm in the lobby. Don't, Bridget warned, reading over my shoulder. I have to, I said. For closure. I found Easton pacing by the reception desk, looking as unsettled as I'd ever seen him. Make it quick, I said. I have a company to run. I left her, he blurted out. I told my parents I'm done letting them control my life. Seeing you last night, seeing what you've achieved, I realized what a fool I've been. Took you long enough. I know it's too late. He stepped closer. But I never stopped loving you. A year ago, those words would have melted my heart. Now they just made me tired. You're right about one thing, I said. It is too late, way too late. We could try again, he pleaded. I'm different now. But I'm different too, I replied. And that's the problem. I've outgrown you, Easton. I've outgrown all of it. The elevator dinged, and Leonard stepped out. Delilah, the press is waiting in the conference room. I have to go, I told Easton. Good luck with your journey of self-discovery. Is that really it? He called after me. All those years together mean nothing. I turned back one last time. They meant everything. That's why it hurt so much when you threw them away. But now they're just part of my origin story. In the conference room, journalists waited with cameras and recorders. Leonard handed me a statement to review, but I set it aside. Just speak from the heart, he advised. That's what got you here. I took my place at the podium, looking out at the sea of faces. A year ago, I would have been terrified. Now I felt only strength. Good morning, I began. Today isn't about patent infringement or corporate scandal. It's about authenticity, about standing up for what you've built. As I spoke, I caught my reflection in the window. Confident, powerful, free. The woman I'd become wasn't defined by the Lynches or their rejection. She was defined by her own choices, her own strength. And that, I realized, was the sweetest victory of all. The autumn breeze carried the scent of success as I cut the ribbon at our new Freeman Naturals headquarters. Camera flashes popped while Bridget wiped away happy tears beside me. And with this, I addressed the crowd. We launch our global sustainability initiative, making clean beauty accessible to everyone, regardless of their background. The applause was interrupted by a familiar voice. "Excuse me, may I say something?" Tiffany stood at the edge of the crowd, looking smaller somehow, without her usual entourage. The audience parted as she walked forward. "Mrs. Lynch," I acknowledged, keeping my voice neutral. "This is unexpected." She cleared her throat, clutching her designer purse like a shield. "I came to make amends, publicly." The journalist's cameras whirred to life. Leonard moved protectively closer to me, but I held up my hand. "Go on," I said. "I was wrong about you." Tiffany's voice carried across the suddenly silent gathering. "My prejudice and pride cost my son his happiness, and our family its integrity. While you were building something meaningful, we were clinging to outdated notions of worth." "Why now?" I asked, genuinely curious. "Because yesterday, my granddaughter asked me why we treat some people differently than others." Her voice cracked. I couldn't give her an answer that didn't make me ashamed. The crowd murmured. I stepped down from the podium, approaching her. "I don't expect forgiveness," she continued, "but I want you to know that you've taught our entire social circle a valuable lesson. Success isn't inherited, it's earned." "Thank you," I said simply. "Would you like a tour of the facility?" Her eyes widened in surprise. "You'd allow that?" "Of course, our doors are open to everyone. That's the whole point." As we walked through the production floor, I showed her how we sourced sustainable ingredients, employed local workers, and maintained strict quality controls. "This is remarkable," she admitted, watching our team at work. "Ricardo and we've been doing a lot of thinking. We'd like to establish a scholarship fund for aspiring entrepreneurs from underprivileged backgrounds. Would you consider being on the selection committee?" I stopped walking. "Are you serious?" "Entirely. Who better to spot genuine talent and determination?" Before I could respond, Bridget rushed up with her tablet. "Delilah, you need to see this. Noelle just posted her public apology, and it's going viral." The video showed Noelle, humble and sincere, taking full responsibility for the patent infringement. But it was her closing words that caught my attention. Delilah Freeman showed me that true success comes from innovation, not imitation. Her forgiveness in allowing me to make this right speaks volumes about her character, the character I once foolishly dismissed. "Well," I smiled at Tiffany, "it seems today is full of surprises." "Life has a way of humbling us all," she replied softly. Leonard appeared with contracts in hand. "The European distribution deals are ready for your signature, and that sustainable packaging manufacturer in Sweden is on the line." "Actually," I said, "I think we should discuss involving the Lynch Foundation in our global initiative. Their connections could help us reach more communities." Tiffany's eyes filled with tears. "After everything we did, the past is the past," I said firmly. "What matters is what we do now." The day ended with an impromptu strategy session in my office. Bridget ordered takeout, while Leonard and I brainstormed with Tiffany about combining our resources for greater impact. As the sun set over the city, I stepped out onto my office balcony. The neon signs were blinking to life, including the massive Freeman Naturals logo atop our building. "Quite a view," Bridget joined me, handing me a glass of champagne. "Did you ever imagine this when you were crying on my couch?" "Never," I laughed. "But you know what's funny? I'm actually grateful for everything that happened. Even the heartbreak? Especially the heartbreak. It showed me who I really am." My phone buzzed with a text from Easton. Congratulations on the new headquarters. You deserve every success. I truly hope you're happy. This time, I replied, I am. I hope you find your happiness too. Bridget read the exchange over my shoulder. Look at you, all zen and mature. Not zen, I corrected her, just complete. Below us, the city pulsed with energy and possibility. I thought about the girl who once felt so small in this big world, who let others define her worth. She seemed like a stranger now. To new beginnings, Bridget raised her glass. No, I smiled, clinking my glass against hers. To being exactly who we're meant to be. The night air carried the promise of more adventures, more challenges, more triumphs. But this time, I was ready for them all.
I stand in front of the gilded mirror, watching my engagement ring catch the light. 3 carats of pure manipulation wrapped around my finger like a golden shackle. The ballroom behind me buzzes with the chatter of Boston's elite, but all I hear is the clock ticking down to my public execution. Valentina, that's me. The marketing manager who dared to capture the heart of Karen Wellington's precious son. Or so the society papers say. There you are, darling. Ethan's reflection appears beside mine, his hand settling on my waist. Perfect teeth, perfect hair, perfect posture, everything his mother demanded of her golden child. Mother's about to make the toast. She's been planning this moment for weeks. Of course she has. I force my lips into the smile I've practiced 1,000 times. Wouldn't want to disappoint her. The grand ballroom of the Wellington estate stretches before us like a battlefield dressed in crystal and silk. 200 of Boston's finest gathered to celebrate our engagement, or rather to witness Karen's latest power play. Sophie catches my eye from across the room, raising her champagne glass in silent support. At least one person here isn't buying into this charade. Ladies and gentlemen, Karen's voice cuts through the crowd like a diamond through glass. She stands at the center of the room, commanding attention in her Valentino dress that probably costs more than my yearly salary. We're gathered here today to celebrate not just an engagement, but a merger of families. The crowd titters. Marcus, Ethan's father, smirks from his position beside his wife. I feel Ethan's hand tighten on my waist. When Ethan first mentioned he was dating someone from marketing, Karen continues, her pause calculated for maximum effect, I must admit I was concerned. After all, the Wellington name carries certain expectations. My chest tightens. This isn't going where I thought it would. But then I realized, perhaps this is exactly what our family needs. Someone to handle our public image. She smiles, all teeth and no warmth. Though I do hope, Valentina dear, that you'll consider pursuing something more befitting your new position. Perhaps as a full-time mother. The Wellington legacy must continue after all. The room erupts in polite laughter. I feel the heat rising in my cheeks, but I keep my smile frozen in place. Years of practice hiding my emotions from difficult clients finally paying off. And of course, Karen adds, lifting her glass higher, we've already arranged for Ethan to take over as CEO of our East Coast operations. Can't have our future daughter-in-law out-earning her husband, can we? More laughter. Ethan's hand drops from my waist. He's not even looking at me anymore. To the happy couple, Karen concludes, her voice dripping with false sweetness. May they understand their proper places in this family. The crowd raises their glasses. I catch Sophie's expression, pure fury on my behalf. But it's Daniel, Ethan's younger brother, whose reaction interests me most. He's watching his mother with an expression I've never seen before. Calculated hatred. Darling, Ethan whispers, finally noticing my rigid posture. Mother means well. She's just traditional. Traditional? Like the way she systematically destroyed my father's construction company last year. Like the mysterious circumstances surrounding my mother's death 15 years ago. A death that I'm beginning to suspect has Wellington fingerprints all over it. I raise my glass, meeting Karen's triumphant gaze across the room. Thank you, Mother Wellington, I say, my voice carrying clearly, for making everything so crystal clear. She doesn't catch the edge in my voice, but Sophie does. So does Daniel. They're the only ones who see my smile shift from practiced politeness to something harder, colder. Karen Wellington just handed me the perfect weapon, her own arrogance. She thinks she's putting me in my place, but all she's done is show me exactly where to strike. I take a sip of champagne, already plotting. This engagement party isn't an end, it's a beginning. And Karen has no idea what she just started. The morning after the engagement party, I sit across from my father at our usual diner, pushing eggs around my plate while he reads the society page coverage of my humiliation. His knuckles whiten around the newspaper edges. "I always knew Karen Wellington was cruel," he says finally, "but to do this so publicly. Did you know them? Before?" The question slips out before I can stop it. I've never asked about his connection to the Wellingtons, despite suspecting there's more to the story than he's told me. He sets down the paper, and for a moment, I see something flash across his face. Fear, maybe, or anger, but it's gone before I can be sure. Boston's a small world when you're in real estate development. The bell above the diner door chimes. Ethan walks in, spotting us immediately. Perfect timing, as always. My father's expression closes off like a vault. "There's my beautiful fiancé," Ethan announces, sliding into the booth beside me. He kisses my cheek, all performance. "And future father-in-law. I hope you enjoyed last night's celebration." My father's smile doesn't reach his eyes. "Quite the speech your mother gave. Mother can be traditional." Ethan's hand finds mine under the table, squeezing too tight. "But she means well. Actually, that's why I'm here. She'd like to have lunch with you today, Valentina, to smooth things over." I extract my hand from his grip. "I have meetings all day." "I've already cleared your schedule with your supervisor." His smile doesn't waver. Mother's very persuasive when she wants something. The implications sink in. Karen's reach extends into my workplace now. I meet my father's gaze across the table, seeing my own alarm reflected there. "You know what?" I stand abruptly. "I need some air. Excuse me." Outside, the autumn air bites at my skin. I hear footsteps behind me. Ethan, of course, always following his mother's script. "You're being difficult," he says, catching my arm. "Mother's trying to make amends." I turn to face him. "Like she made amends with the Harrison family." He flinches. "The Harrison family, their development company, went bankrupt last year after dealing with Wellington Enterprises. I discovered the connection during my background research on Karen." "That was business," he says carefully. "This is family." "Is there a difference in your mother's world?" His phone buzzes, Karen's special ringtone. He answers immediately, turning away from me. "Yes, Mother. No, she's being difficult. I understand. Yes, I'll handle it." Handle it. Like I'm a problem to be managed. When he faces me again, his expression has hardened. "The lunch isn't optional, Valentina. Either you show up willingly, or Mother will make things very uncomfortable for you at work." "Are you threatening me?" "I'm protecting you." He steps closer, lowering his voice. "You don't know what Mother's capable of when she's crossed." But I do know. I've spent months piecing together the trail of destroyed careers and broken lives left in Karen Wellington's wake, including, I suspect, my mother's death, though I can't prove it yet. "Fine," I say, forcing a smile. "Tell your mother I'll be there." Relief floods his face. He kisses my forehead, missing how I stiffen at his touch. "That's my girl. I'll have the car pick you up at noon." I watch him leave, then pull out my phone to text Sophie. "Need your help. Lunch with the devil today. Time to start phase 2. Her reply comes instantly. "Already on it." Daniel reached out, says he has information we need. I glance back through the diner window. My father sits alone now, staring at his coffee like it holds answers. He looks older suddenly, weighted down by secrets I'm only beginning to understand. My phone buzzes again. Sophie sending an address. A meeting point with Daniel, away from his family's watching eyes. If he's really willing to turn against his mother, it could change everything. I straighten my spine, checking my reflection in a nearby window. The woman staring back at me isn't the same one who endured last night's humiliation. She's harder now, sharper at the edges. Karen wants to have lunch? Fine. I'll sit across from her, play the dutiful future daughter-in-law. But while she's busy trying to put me in my place, she won't notice me learning all her weaknesses. After all, she taught me herself. The best attacks come disguised as submission. The private dining room at Leblanc feels like a trap, all crystal and white tablecloths. Karen sits across from me, perfectly composed, while Marcus hovers near the window, phone pressed to his ear. Their voices drift around me, discussing business as if I'm not here. "The Harrison portfolio," Marcus says into his phone. "Yes, all of it. Transfer everything by Monday." My fork freezes halfway to my mouth. The Harrison portfolio, my father's former business partner. The same company Karen destroyed last year. "More wine, dear?" Karen's voice drips honey. She's watching me, always watching. "No, thank you." I set down my fork. "Actually, I'm curious about something. The Harrisons, wasn't their daughter in my class at Boston Prep?" Karen's smile tightens. "Perhaps, though they've relocated since their unfortunate business decisions." Marcus ends his call, joining us at the table. "Speaking of business, Valentina, we have a proposition for you." "We've been discussing your role in the company," Karen adds. "Post-wedding, of course." I feel my phone vibrate, probably Sophie waiting nearby with Daniel. But I can't check it now, not when I'm finally getting close to something real. "What kind of role?" "A ceremonial one," Karen says smoothly. "You'll need to resign from your current position naturally. Can't have our daughter-in-law working under others." "And my father's remaining contracts?" Marcus sets down his wine glass too hard. Karen's hand touches his arm. A warning. "Your father's business dealings are his concern," she says. "Though we could assist if you're amenable to our terms." The pieces click together. They're not just trying to control me, they're using me to get to my father's remaining assets. The same way they used the Harrison's daughter to... The door opens. Ethan walks in, followed by a familiar face that stops my heart. James Harrison. My former classmate's father, looking nothing like the confident businessman I remember. "Sorry I'm late," Ethan announces. James had some paperwork to finish. James won't meet my eyes. His hands shake as he sets a folder on the table. "Perfect timing," Karen says. "Valentina, dear, we need you to sign as a witness. Just a small matter regarding some property transfers." I open the folder. Inside, I find documents transferring my father's remaining development rights to Wellington Enterprises. They've forged his signature, perfectly, professionally. But it needs a witness to be legal. They want me to be that witness. "James?" My voice comes out steadier than I feel. "Are you okay?" "Just sign it, Valentina," Ethan says quietly. "Please." But I'm watching James. The defeat in his posture, the fear when he glances at Karen. This is how they do it. How they've always done it. Using family against family, forcing people to destroy themselves. I stand up slowly. "I need to use the restroom." "Sit down," Marcus snaps, but Karen raises a hand. "Let her go. She needs time to understand what's best for everyone." In the hallway, I finally check my phone. 3 messages from Sophie. "Daniel found the files. It's worse than we thought. Your mother's accident. It wasn't an accident." My hands shake as I type. "Get everything to my father. Now." When I return to the dining room, they're waiting exactly as I left them. Like predators, patient and confident. "Ready to sign?" Karen asks. I pick up the pen, studying its weight. 15 years ago, my mother died in a car accident after discovering something about Wellington Enterprises. Now I'm sitting across from the people responsible, watching them try to destroy another family. "Actually," I say, "I have a counter-proposal." I pull out my phone, opening the recording app that's been running since I entered the restaurant. Karen's eyes narrow as she realizes what I'm holding. "You really should be more careful discussing illegal property transfers in public spaces," I say, "especially when threatening people into compliance." Marcus stands abruptly. Ethan reaches for my arm, but I step back. "You have no idea what you're doing," Karen says, her mask finally cracking. "No," I reply. "I think for the first time, I know exactly what I'm doing." I turn to James. The Harrisons send their regards. And their evidence. The colour drains from Karen's face. In this moment, watching her perfect world begin to crack, I finally understand. Revenge isn't just about destroying your enemies. It's about saving yourself. Sophie's apartment feels like the last safe place in Boston. We sit surrounded by papers and laptops, piecing together the puzzle of Wellington Enterprises' corruption. Daniel paces by the window, his shadow cutting through the afternoon light. They killed her, I say, staring at the accident report from 15 years ago. My mother wasn't investigating real estate fraud. She found evidence of money laundering. Daniel stops pacing. The offshore accounts. That's why they're so desperate to get control of your father's company now. They need a legitimate business to... A knock at the door silences us. Sophie checks the security camera and tenses. It's Ethan. My engagement ring feels like it's burning my finger. Let him in. Ethan enters, his usual polish cracked around the edges. His eyes land on Daniel first, then the scattered documents. So this is where you've been hiding, brother. Not hiding, Daniel says. Just finally choosing a side. Ethan runs a hand through his hair. A gesture so like his father's, it makes my skin crawl. Val, we need to talk. Alone. Anything you have to say, you can say in front of them. He moves closer, lowering his voice anyway. Mother knows about the recording. She's prepared to make things very difficult for your father if you don't hand it over. More difficult than destroying his business? Or having his wife killed? Ethan flinches. You don't understand. I understand perfectly. I stand, forcing him to step back. Your mother didn't just kill my mother. She's been systematically destroying families for years. The Harrisons were just the latest. Everything she did was to protect our family. Was it protection when she arranged Daniel's girlfriend's deportation last year? Daniel's sharp intake of breath tells me he didn't know I'd discovered that particular secret. Ethan's face goes pale. That was business, he says weakly. It's all business with your family, isn't it? I move to the window where a manila envelope sits ready. Which is why you'll understand what I have to do next. I hand him the envelope. He opens it, scanning the contents with growing horror. These are copies of everything, I tell him. Bank records, falsified documents, witness statements about my mother's accident. The originals are already with the FBI. You're bluffing. Check your phone. As if on cue, his phone buzzes. He reads the message, colour draining from his face. Mother's being questioned by federal agents, along with your father and half the board. I twist the engagement ring off my finger. Consider this my resignation from the Wellington family. He grabs my arm. You don't want to do this. We can still fix things. Like you fix things for the Harrisons? Daniel steps forward. Or my girlfriend? Or Valentina's mother? I didn't know. Ethan's grip tightens. About any of it, I swear. But you suspected, I say quietly. And you chose to look away. Sophie moves between us, forcing Ethan to release me. I think you should leave. He backs toward the door, desperation replacing his usual confidence. Val, please. Whatever Mother did, I'm not her. No, I agree. You're worse. She at least owns what she is. After he's gone, Daniel turns to me. You really sent everything to the FBI? Not yet. I pick up my phone. But Karen doesn't know that. Right now, she's probably destroying evidence we haven't even found yet. Sophie grins. And security cameras are recording every minute of it. We have 48 hours before she realizes the FBI isn't actually investigating, I say. That's how long we have to find what she's trying to hide. Daniel pulls out his own phone. I can get us into the office tonight. Security still trusts me. I look at the accident report on the table at my mother's name in cold black type. Karen thought she could bury the truth under years of manipulation and fear. She didn't count on her victims finding each other. Tonight then, I say, picking up the engagement ring. One last performance as the future Mrs. Wellington. The ring catches the light as I slip it back on, no longer a shackle but a key. Karen taught me well, the best attacks come disguised as submission, and I'm about to become her star pupil. Wellington Enterprises' 40th floor boardroom feels like a glass cage at midnight. Daniel works at Karen's computer while I rifle through Marcus's files, both of us racing against dawn. Sophie monitors the security feeds from her laptop, our only warning system if someone arrives. "Found something," Daniel says, his voice tight. "A series of transfers to a shell company called Meridian Holdings. Started the week before your mother's accident." My hands shake as I photograph the documents. "Same company that bought out the Harrisons? And 6 other families in the past decade." He clicks through more files. "All competitors or threats to Wellington's expansion." Sophie's voice crackles through our earpieces. "Movement in the lobby. Security's doing their rounds early." I grab the last folder, but something falls out. A photograph. My mother, sitting at this very table, 15 years younger. The date stamp matches the week before her death. The elevator dings. "Someone's coming up," Sophie warns. "Not security, executive override code." Daniel closes the computer. "We need to go." "Wait." I flip the photo over. There's writing on the back. "Meeting with Catherine Mills, Project Phoenix discussion." "Val, now." Daniel grabs my arm. The elevator's at 38, 39. We slip into the executive washroom just as the doors open. Through the crack, I see Karen stride in, still wearing her dinner clothes. Marcus follows, looking haunted. "The files have to be here," Karen says. "That little bitch knows something. If she had proof, we'd be arrested already." Marcus paces, another habit Ethan inherited. "Maybe we should consider her offer." "To step down quietly?" Karen laughs. "The moment we lose control, everything unravels. The offshore accounts, Phoenix, all of it." My phone vibrates. Sophie texting that security's heading up too. "We're trapped." "What about Ethan?" Marcus asks. "He's still loyal." "For now, but he's weak like his brother. One push from that girl and he'll crumble." I feel Daniel tense beside me. The security elevator pings. "Mrs. Wellington?" A guard's voice. "Sorry to disturb you, but we detected unauthorized access to this floor." Karen's heels click closer to our hiding spot. "Check everything. If anyone's here, I want them found." My heart pounds so loud I'm sure they'll hear it. Daniel's hand finds mine in the dark, squeezing once. A signal. He bursts out of the bathroom, startling everyone. "Mother! Father! What are you doing here?" "Daniel?" Karen recovers quickly. "We could ask you the same thing." "Couldn't sleep. Thought I'd get some work done." He moves toward the elevator, drawing their attention. Though clearly this is a bad time. I slip out while they're distracted, staying low behind the desks, almost to the second elevator. "Check the bathroom," Karen orders the guard. I freeze. If they find evidence someone else was here, Daniel's cover is blown. So I do the one thing they won't expect. I stand up. "Looking for me, Mother Wellington?" Karen whirls around. For a split second, real fear crosses her face. She's seeing my mother's ghost in the darkness. "What is this?" Marcus demands. I hold up the photograph. "Project Phoenix. That's what my mother discovered, isn't it? Before her convenient accident." "Val," Daniel warns, but I'm done hiding. "She was going to expose you." I step closer to Karen. "Just like the Harrisons tried to. Like all the others you destroyed." Karen's composure returns. "Careful, dear. Wild accusations can be dangerous." "So can evidence." I reach for my phone, but it's not in my pocket. Karen holds it up, smiling. "Looking for this? You really should be more careful where you leave your things. At the dinner party, for instance." My blood runs cold. She's known all along. "Security," she says smoothly. "Please escort my future daughter-in-law out." "And Daniel?" Her voice hardens. "We'll discuss your involvement later." As the guards lead me to the elevator, Karen calls out, "Oh, and Valentina. Do give your father my regards. Such a shame about his new development project falling through tomorrow." The doors close on her triumphant smile. In my earpiece, Sophie whispers, "Val, what do we do now?" I watch the floor numbers descend, each one bringing me closer to a decision. Karen thinks she's won, that she's beaten me the same way she beat my mother. But she forgot something crucial. My mother fought alone. I touch my engagement ring, where I hid the real memory card. Tell Lily to release the first batch of documents to the press. It's time everyone learned about Project Phoenix. The game isn't over. It's just getting started. The Wellington Enterprises annual gala feels like a funeral dressed in designer clothes. News of Project Phoenix has been spreading through Boston's business circles for 3 days, and I can see the whispers following Karen across the ballroom. But she's still smiling, still commanding the room like nothing's wrong. I adjust my black evening gown, the one Ethan's parents bought me, their perfect puppet daughter-in-law. Sophie's voice comes through my earpiece. FBI's reviewing the evidence. They'll move within hours. But hours might be too late. I watch Daniel weave through the crowd, pale and shaken. He reaches me just as Karen takes the stage. She knows, he whispers, about everything. The evidence, the FBI, all of it. Distinguished guests, Karen's voice fills the room. Before we begin tonight's festivities, I have an announcement. My phone buzzes, a text from my father. They're seizing the company. All assets frozen. Our family has always valued transparency, Karen continues, her eyes finding mine in the crowd, which is why I must address the recent rumors about Project Phoenix. The room goes silent. Even the servers stop moving. Project Phoenix was indeed a restructuring initiative, she says smoothly, one that unfortunately required difficult decisions about certain struggling companies, including Mills Construction. My father's company. My mother's legacy. What we didn't know, Karen's voice hardens, was that Catherine Mills had been embezzling funds for years, putting not just her company but dozens of families at risk. The blood drains from my face. She's rewriting history, turning my mother into the villain. Thankfully, her daughter's recent actions helped us uncover the full scope of her crimes. Karen's smile is razor-sharp. Valentina, dear, would you join me? All eyes turn to me. It's a trap, but refusing would only confirm her lies. I walk to the stage, each step feeling like I'm walking to my execution. Karen embraces me, whispering in my ear, "Check your phone." A new message appears, security footage from 15 years ago. My mother arguing with someone in her office, taking documents, getting into her car. "We tried to protect you from the truth," Karen says loud enough for everyone to hear. "About the accident, about what your mother was running from that night." The room spins. This can't be real. But now, Karen continues, Valentina has graciously agreed to help us make things right. Haven't you, dear? She's orchestrated everything perfectly. If I expose her now, she'll destroy my mother's reputation forever. If I play along, everything we've worked for disappears. Actually, I start, but Ethan suddenly appears beside me. "Mother," he says, "I think it's time we showed everyone the real Project Phoenix files." Karen's grip on my arm tightens. "Ethan, don't..." "The ones showing how you and father orchestrated Catherine Mills' accident." He turns to the crowd. "The same way you tried to arrange one for Valentina last night." Gasps ripple through the room. Marcus steps forward, but Daniel blocks his path. "Security!" Karen snaps. "Remove them!" "Federal agents!" The ballroom doors burst open. "Everyone stay where you are!" In the chaos that follows, I see Karen's mask finally crack. But it's not the FBI she's staring at. It's Ethan. "You chose her," she says, disbelief coloring her voice. "Over family?" "No, Mother." Ethan takes my hand. "I chose justice. Something you taught me about, remember?" As the agents approach, Karen turns to me one last time. "You think this is victory? You've destroyed everything. Your mother's legacy, your future, this family." "No," I say quietly. "You did that 15 years ago. I'm just finishing what my mother started." They lead Karen and Marcus away, but I feel no triumph, just emptiness and questions that may never have answers. Later, in the quiet of the emptying ballroom, Ethan finds me staring at my mother's old photograph. "The security footage," he says. "It was doctored. We found the original in Father's private safe." "Why didn't you tell me sooner?" "Because I needed Mother to believe she'd won." He touches my shoulder. "Just like you taught me." I look at him. Really look at him. and see something I've missed before, the cost of revenge written in the shadows under his eyes. "What happens now?" I ask. He doesn't answer. Some questions don't have easy answers, and some victories feel more like wounds that may never heal. The holding cell at Boston Police Department feels smaller than my childhood closet. Karen sits across from me, still elegant despite the orange jumpsuit. No makeup, no designer clothes, but somehow she looks more dangerous than ever. "You know why I'm here," I say. "To gloat?" Her smile hasn't changed. "How disappointing. I thought I taught you better than that." "You taught me plenty." I place my mother's photograph on the metal table between us. Like how to arrange an accident that looks natural. She doesn't even glance at the photo. Your mother made her choices, just like you've made yours. Did she choose to discover Project Phoenix, or did you choose to silence her? Project Phoenix saved this family. Karen leans forward. Everything I did was to protect what we built, something you'll never understand. The door opens. Daniel enters carrying a thick folder. Karen's composure cracks for just a moment. "Hello, Mother," he says quietly. "The FBI has some interesting questions about Maria." Karen goes very still. "Who?" "My girlfriend, the one you had deported." Daniel sits beside me. "Turns out her immigration papers were perfect until someone falsified evidence of fraud. Someone with access to Wellington Enterprise resources." "You always were too soft," Karen says. "Like your father." "No," Daniel replies. "I was just waiting. Like Valentina." I open the folder, spreading out documents. Bank statements, emails, death certificates. A pattern of destruction spanning decades. 15 families, I say. Not just my mother, not just the Harrisons. 15 lives you destroyed to build your empire. "I built something lasting." Karen's voice hardens. "What have you built except revenge? Justice." I push forward one final document. "This is a confession, detailing everything. Sign it, and we ensure Ethan stays out of the investigation." Her eyes narrow. "You'd use my son against me? Now who's becoming like me?" "The difference is, I'm giving you a choice. More than you gave any of your victims." The silence stretches. Through the observation window, I sense Ethan watching, though I haven't looked at him since he chose sides at the gala. "You know what your mother said that night?" Karen asks suddenly. "She said she felt sorry for my children, that no amount of money could make up for having me as a mother." She laughs, bitter and sharp. "And now here you are, proving her right. Sign the confession." "Or what? You'll tell everyone what I am?" She gestures around the cell. "They already know. The mighty Karen Wellington, exposed and ruined. But tell me, Valentina, what are you, now that your revenge is complete?" I stand, gathering the documents. "Sign or don't sign, either way you've lost." "Have I?" Her smile returns. "Look in the mirror, dear. You've become exactly what you hated. Calculating, ruthless, willing to sacrifice anything for your goals. I may have lost my empire, but I've created my greatest legacy. You." The truth of her words hits like a physical blow. I see myself reflected in the observation window, poised, controlled, every bit the person Karen trained me to be. "You're wrong," Daniel says, but I touch his arm. "No, she's right." I turn back to Karen. "You did shape me. You taught me how to play this game, but you forgot something crucial." "And what's that?" "My mother taught me something too." I reach for the door. "She taught me when to walk away." "That's it?" Karen calls after me. "All this plotting and you're just leaving?" "The confession is for the FBI now. Your fate is out of my hands." I pause at the threshold. "That's the difference between us, Karen. You needed to control everything. I just needed the truth." In the hallway, Ethan waits. He looks like he wants to speak, but no words come. "I'm sorry," I say, and mean it. For all of it. He nods, understanding what I can't say, that some victories cost too much, that some bridges can't be rebuilt. Behind me, I hear Karen calling for her lawyer. Always fighting, always controlling, until the very end. but her voice fades as I walk away, replaced by a memory of my mother's laugh, bright and free and finally at peace. Some revenge isn't about destruction at all. Sometimes it's about choosing to be something different than what they tried to make you. My mother's headstone looks different in the morning light. I've always visited at sunset, when shadows make everything feel heavier. But today, as I place fresh flowers beside her name, the marble gleams almost hopefully. "I thought I'd find you here." My father's voice steady and familiar. He sits beside me on the cool grass, his tie loosened from another day of rebuilding our company from the ashes of Wellington Enterprises. "The verdict came in," I say. He nods. 20 years for Karen, 15 for Marcus. "And the restitution payments to the families?" "Being processed. The Harrisons got their company back this morning." He pauses. "Daniel's doing good work, restructuring everything." The mention of Daniel brings thoughts of Ethan, but I push them away. Some bridges stay burned. "There's something else," my father says, pulling out an envelope. "They found this in Karen's private safe. It's addressed to you." The paper feels heavy in my hands. Inside, I find a photograph I've never seen before. My mother and Karen, both young, both smiling, standing in front of Mills Construction. "They were friends," my father says quietly, "before everything. Karen was different then. Ambitious but not cruel. Your mother saw the changes happening, tried to help her." He trails off. "Until Karen chose power over friendship. Until she forgot who she was." I study the photograph. These two women frozen in time before tragedy rewrote everything. "Did you know? All these years?" I suspected, but proving it meant risking losing you too. His hand finds mine. I couldn't take that chance. A text from Sophie lights up my phone. "Board meeting in an hour. Ready?" "Go," my father says. "Your mother would be proud of what you've built from all this. The Wellington building looks different now. Its imposing facade somehow less threatening." In the lobby, Lily greets me with coffee and updates about the transition. The elevator feels lighter as it carries me to the top floor. The boardroom is full when I enter. Daniel sits at the head of the table, no longer the uncertain younger son, but a leader in his own right. The other board members, mostly new faces, untainted by Karen's influence, nod in greeting. "Before we begin," Daniel says, "I want to address the elephant in the room. Yes, this company was built on corruption. Yes, we're related to the people who caused immeasurable harm. But today, we start making it right." He gestures to the presentation screen where a new company name glows, Phoenix Mills Group. My breath catches. Daniel continues. "A joint venture between what's left of Wellington Enterprises and the restored Mills Construction. A chance to rebuild what was broken." The boardroom door opens. Ethan steps in, carrying architectural plans. Our eyes meet briefly, not with romance or regret, but with understanding. We're different people now, shaped by choices we can't undo. "The first project," Ethan says, spreading the plans on the table, "is a community development center, built on the land where Project Phoenix originally started." I study the plans, seeing echoes of both our mothers in the design. Strength and beauty, ambition and compassion balanced in glass and steel. "There's one more thing," Daniel adds. He slides a folder toward me. "We found evidence that Karen wasn't working alone 15 years ago. There were other board members involved in covering up what happened to your mother." My hand hovers over the folder. Inside lies more secrets, more corruption, more fuel for revenge. But I think of Karen in her prison cell, of how revenge consumed her long before it touched me, of how easy it would be to continue this cycle of destruction. I push the folder back. "Send it to the FBI. Let justice handle it this time." Daniel nods, understanding. Ethan's shoulders relax slightly. Around the table, the board members exchange glances, respect, perhaps, or relief. The morning sun streams through the windows, catching on my engagement ring. I twist it off, placing it on the table, not as a gesture of defeat or victory, but as a choice to be something different than what pain made me. "Now," I say, turning to the plans, "let's build something lasting." Sometimes the best revenge isn't about destroying what hurt you. It's about creating something better from the ruins they left behind.
I stand at the edge of my own wedding reception, watching my new mother-in-law tap her crystal champagne glass. The sound pierces through the murmur of conversation, and my stomach knots. Something in Vivian's eyes makes me want to grab Ryan's hand and run. My name is Arya, and this should be the happiest day of my life. Ladies and gentlemen, Vivian's voice carries across the garden with practiced elegance. I'd like to propose a toast to the interesting couple before us today. She pauses, her smile sharp as a blade. When Ryan first brought Arya home, I must admit I was surprised. After all, we had such different expectations for him. The crowd shifts uncomfortably. Ryan's hand tightens around mine, but he says nothing. Always says nothing when it comes to his mother. But here we are, Vivian continues, her gaze fixed on me. Ryan, darling, you've always had a charitable heart, taking in strays, helping the less fortunate. Remember that mangy cat you insisted on keeping when you were 12? She laughs, and a few nervous chuckles follow. I suppose some habits never change. My cheeks burn. The pearl necklace Ryan gave me this morning feels like it's choking me. I catch my sister Sophie's eye across the room. She's half rising from her chair, fury written across her face. To the happy couple, Vivian raises her glass. May Ryan's generosity continue to lift up those who weren't blessed with the advantages he's enjoyed. And Arya, dear, she turns that razor smile on me again. Do try to remember where you came from and where you are now, Petita. The silence that follows is deafening. My father, Thomas, is gripping his chair so hard his knuckles have gone white. My mother, Linda, has tears in her eyes, not the happy ones she had during the ceremony. Ryan finally speaks. Mother, that's enough. But his voice is weak, uncertain. Oh, darling, I'm only teasing. Vivian waves him off. Surely Arya can take a joke. After all, she'll need a thick skin to survive in our world, won't she? I feel the eyes of 200 guests burning into me. The country club members, the business associates, Ryan's extended family, all watching to see how the girl from the wrong side of town will react to being publicly gutted. Actually, I hear myself say, standing up, my voice is steady, surprising even me. I'd like to thank Vivian for that illuminating toast. I raise my own glass. You've made things very clear. Vivian's smile falters for just a moment. She wasn't expecting me to speak. To new beginnings, I continue, and to finally understanding exactly where I stand. I drain my champagne in one go, setting the glass down with perhaps more force than necessary. The rest of the reception passes in a blur of forced smiles and whispered conversations that stop when I walk by. Ryan keeps apologizing, but his words feel hollow. He doesn't understand that his silence during his mother's speech said more than any apology could. Later, as we're leaving for our honeymoon, I catch Vivian speaking to Derek, her business partner. It's nothing personal, she's saying, but someone had to put her in her place before she got too comfortable. I slip into the car, my wedding dress rustling against the leather seats. Ryan starts the engine, already launching into another apology about his mother's behavior. But I'm not listening. Instead, I'm thinking about the look in Vivian's eyes during that toast, that mix of contempt and satisfaction. She thinks she's won, thinks she's shown everyone exactly who I am and where I belong. But she's wrong. That toast didn't break me. It awakened something. As we drive away from the reception, I'm already planning. Vivian wanted to show everyone who I am. Fine, I'll show her exactly who I can become. This isn't the end of the story. It's just the beginning of hers. The honeymoon glow lasted exactly 3 weeks. That's when the first oversight happened. My name mysteriously missing from the guest list at the Hamilton family's annual charity gala. It must have been a clerical error, Ryan says, adjusting his bow tie in our bedroom mirror. Mother's assistant is new. I watch him from the bed, still in my bathrobe, like the clerical error that left me off the country club membership application, or the one that forgot to include me in the family portrait session. He doesn't meet my eyes in the reflection. I'll talk to her about it. Don't bother. I stand up, letting my wedding ring catch the light. We both know Vivian's assistant doesn't make mistakes. The door closes behind him with a soft click. Through the window, I watch him pull out of our driveway in his Mercedes, a wedding gift from his mother. Another reminder of where I stand in the hierarchy of Vivian's world. My phone buzzes. It's Sophie. Mom and Dad want you over for dinner tonight. At my parents' modest house, the tension is thick enough to cut. Dad's pacing the kitchen, while Mom serves her signature lasagna, comfort food for uncomfortable conversations. She's isolating you, Dad says, his fork stabbing the pasta. First the wedding toast, now this. It's a pattern, Arya. Thomas, Mom warns, but her eyes are worried. What? We're all thinking it. That woman's trying to push our daughter out of her son's life, piece by piece. I push my food around the plate. Ryan says he'll handle it. Sophie snorts, like he handled the toast or the country club thing. She leans forward. You know what Derek told me at the coffee shop yesterday? I look up. You talked to Derek? He didn't know who I was, but he was meeting someone, talking about how Vivian's planning to protect the family interests by having Ryan sign some new trust agreement, something about limiting spouse access. The lasagna turns to ash in my mouth. Dad's face darkens, but before he can speak, my phone chimes. It's a group text from Vivian to the family. Reminder, Margaret's 75th birthday dinner this Saturday. Black tie. Private room at LeBlanc. Family only. A second later, another message. Ryan, darling, please come early to help with arrangements. No mention of me. Not even a pretense this time. That's it. Sophie stands up. You need to fight back. And do what? I push my plate away. Throw a fit? Prove her right about the classless girl who married above her station. No, Sophie's eyes gleam. You need to beat her at her own game. You're smart, Arya. Smarter than she thinks. Use that. Later that night, I return home to find Ryan in his study. Papers spread across his desk. He looks up, guilty. Hey, I was just going through some family business stuff. I lean against the door frame. The new trust agreement. He freezes. How did you? Does it matter? I walk over, picking up one of the documents. Were you going to tell me before or after you signed away my access to our shared future? It's not like that, he starts, but I cut him off. Then what is it like, Ryan? Explain it to me. Explain how your mother's systematic campaign to erase me from your life is not like that. He stands, runs a hand through his hair. You don't understand the pressure she's under, the family name, the business. You're right, I say quietly. I don't understand. I don't understand how my husband can watch his mother destroy his marriage and do nothing. I turn to leave, but his voice stops me. Where are you going? To get ready for Margaret's birthday dinner. But Mother said, I know what she said. I look back at him, and I'm done listening. In our bedroom, I open my laptop and start searching. Vivian thinks she can write me out of this family story. Fine, but two can play at that game. Sophie's right. I'm smarter than Vivian thinks. And if she wants to protect family interests so badly, maybe it's time I took a closer look at exactly what those interests are, starting with why Derek's been making monthly visits to offshore banks. Margaret's birthday dinner becomes a battlefield. The moment I walk into LeBlanc, Vivian's fez freezes mid-laugh, her champagne glass suspended in the air. The private dining room falls silent. Darling, she recovers quickly. I believe there's been a misunderstanding about the guest list. I smile, channeling her own razor-sharp sweetness. No misunderstanding. I'm exactly where I should be. Margaret rises from her seat, her arthritis-twisted hands gripping her walker. Vivian, stop this nonsense. Arya is family now. Something flickers across Vivian's face. Pain, maybe fear. It's gone before I can be sure. Ryan pulls out my chair, but his hands are shaking. The tension crackling through the room makes the crystal chandelier seem ready to shatter. Actually, Margaret continues, settling back into her seat. This reminds me of another family dinner years ago, when you first brought Charles home, Vivian. Vivian's knuckles whiten around her glass. Mother, please. Your father's family treated you horribly, Margaret says, her voice carrying despite its age. Called you a gold digger, said you weren't good enough, remember? The revelation hits me like a physical blow. I look at Vivian, really look at her, and for a moment, I see something else behind the perfect makeup and designer dress, a shadow of another woman who once sat where I'm sitting. That was different, Vivian snaps. Was it? Margaret's eyes are sharp. You worked as a waitress. Charles came from old money. His mother tried everything to drive you away. Derek clears his throat uncomfortably. Perhaps this isn't the time. It's exactly the time, Margaret cuts him off. Because I watched my daughter transform herself into exactly the kind of woman who once tried to destroy her. The waiter arrives with the first course, his professional smile faltering at the tension. Nobody touches their plates. I protected this family, Vivian says quietly, dangerously. Everything I've done, every sacrifice. Like the sacrifice of sending Charles's family those photos. Margaret's words land like bombs. The ones that ruined his father's political career. Ryan's head snaps up. What photos? Ancient history, Vivian stands abruptly and completely irrelevant. But I see it now, the blueprint of her success, the foundation of her power. She didn't just marry into this world, she conquered it, destroyed those who stood in her way. You're right, Mother. Vivian's voice has gone cold. I learned from the best, from those who tried to destroy me, and I learned well. She turns to me. So believe me when I say, you have no idea what you're dealing with. Actually, I pull out my phone, opening the offshore banking records I'd discovered. I think I do. The color drains from Derek's face. Vivian goes very still. Monthly transfers to the Cayman Islands. I continue. Strange patterns in the company's charitable donations. It's amazing what you can find when people think you're too stupid to look. You're making dangerous accusations, Derek warns. No, I correct him. I'm making observations. The accusations will come from the IRS if these records end up on their desk. Ryan stands up looking lost. What's going on, Mother? Nothing, Vivian says sharply. Your wife is trying to cause trouble, like always. Like you caused trouble for Charles's family? I press. Is that why he left? Because he discovered what you really are. The slap echoes through the room. My cheek burns where Vivian's hand connected, but I don't flinch. Mother, Ryan shouts, finally finding his voice. Margaret's quiet voice cuts through the chaos. You've become everything you once hated, Vivian. Vivian grabs her purse, her perfect composure cracking. This dinner is over. Derek, my office, first thing tomorrow. She pauses at the door, looking back at me. You want to play this game? Fine, but remember, I've been playing it longer. After she leaves, Ryan turns to me, his face a storm of confusion and anger. What have you done? What you wouldn't, I answer. I fought back. Margaret reaches across the table, her wrinkled hand covering mine. Be careful, dear. Revenge has a way of changing people. I should know. I watched it change my daughter. I looked down at the banking records on my phone, then at the door where Vivian disappeared. The woman who crawled her way up from nothing, who destroyed her enemies, who became the very monster she once fought. Is that what I'm becoming too? The suitcase lies open on our bed, half packed with whatever I could grab in 10 minutes. Ryan stands in the doorway, his face a mask I no longer recognize. So that's it? His voice is flat. You're running away? I fold another shirt, focusing on the crisp edges. Running implies fear. I'm choosing to leave. Because of what happened at grandmother's dinner, Mother apologized. No, I correct him. She sent a formal note through her secretary, expressing regret for any perceived impropriety. That's not an apology, that's damage control. The bedroom feels smaller than usual, like the walls are closing in. Through the window, I can see Vivian's car pulling up our driveway, right on schedule. She's here to explain everything, Ryan says, about the offshore accounts, about Charles. Like she explained about the trust agreement you were going to sign? I zip the suitcase closed. Or about how she's been systematically pushing me out of your life. A knock downstairs. Ryan doesn't move to answer it. "You're becoming just like her," he says quietly. The words hit harder than Vivian's slap ever did. I turn to face him fully. "What?" "The investigating, the threats, the ultimatums. You're fighting her by becoming her." Before I can respond, Sophie appears in the doorway, slightly out of breath. "Don't go anywhere. You need to see this." She pulls out her phone, pulling up an email. "Remember how I said I'd look into Charles? Well, I found something big." The document on her screen is old, but clear enough. A newspaper article from 25 years ago. The headline reads, "Local business owner dies in suspicious car accident." "That's Charles's father," Ryan says, moving closer. "Read the date," Sophie urges. I do, then I read it again. This was 3 days after those photos Margaret mentioned, the ones that ruined his political career. Keep reading. The article mentions brake failure, a steep road, no witnesses, and at the bottom, a quote from the grieving family's spokesperson, Vivian Hamilton. "She didn't just destroy his career," I whisper. "We don't know that," Ryan interrupts. But his voice shakes. Another knock downstairs, more insistent this time. "There's more." Sophie scrolls down. "Guess who else died in a car accident with suspicious circumstances? The investigator who was looking into the campaign finance irregularities that those photos exposed." The room spins slightly. I sit on the edge of the bed, my packed suitcase forgotten. "Arya," Vivian's voice carries up the stairs. "We need to talk about this situation like adults." Ryan moves toward the door, but I grab his arm. "Don't, please." He looks down at my hand, then at the article still displayed on Sophie's phone. For the first time, I see real fear in his eyes. "What do you want me to do?" he asks. "Choose," I say simply. "For once in your life, choose." Footsteps on the stairs. Sophie positions herself between me and the door. "I can't just," Ryan starts. "Yes, you can. Because if you don't, I'm walking out that door. And unlike Charles, I'll make sure I'm not alone on any steep roads." The footsteps reach our floor. Ryan looks at the door, then back at me. In that moment, I see every choice we've ever made, every compromise, every silence. And I realize this isn't just about saving my marriage anymore. It's about survival. "Ryan?" Vivian's voice is closer now. "Darling, is she up here with you?" He takes a deep breath, and I watch my husband choose. "No, mother," he calls out, his voice steady for the first time in weeks. "She's not, and neither am I." He grabs my suitcase with one hand, my arm with the other. "Sophie, is your car out back?" She nods, a slow smile spreading across her face. "Then let's go," he says, "all of us." As we slip out the back door, I hear Vivian calling our names. But for once, she's not the one in control. For once, we're writing our own story. And this time I'm not running away. I'm running towards something much more dangerous. The truth. The motel room feels like a war room, with papers spread across every surface. Sophie types furiously on her laptop while Ryan paces, phone pressed to his ear. I'm staring at a photograph I found in Margaret's old albums, Vivian and Charles on their wedding day, looking young and in love, before everything went wrong. Derek's not answering. Ryan hangs up, but his secretary said he cleared his schedule for the next week. Emergency meetings with the board. Sophie looks up. "They're moving money, fast. I've tracked 3 large transfers to different offshore accounts in the last hour." "They know we know," Aita, still studying the photograph. There's something in Vivian's eyes. Even then, a hunger. My phone buzzes. A text from Margaret. "Vivian's here, asking questions. Be careful." Another buzz, this time from an unknown number. "Meet me at the old Hamilton factory, midnight. Come alone if you want the whole story. D." Ryan reads over my shoulder. "It's a trap." "Obviously," Sophie agrees. "Derek's Vivian's puppet. Always has been." I set down the wedding photo. "Maybe that's exactly why we should go." They both stare at me. "We?" Ryan asks. "You and me." Sophie stays here, keeps tracking the money. If something goes wrong, I trail off, not wanting to finish the thought. If something goes wrong, I call Dad. Sophie completes it for me. He's got friends in the DA's office. They're already interested in those offshore accounts. Ryan grabs his keys. We should leave now, scout the location before. A knock at the door freezes us all. Through the thin curtains, we can see a familiar silhouette. Arya, Vivian's voice is honey sweet. Darling, I know you're in there. Let's talk about this like family. Sophie quietly closes her laptop. Ryan moves toward the bathroom window. Our planned escape route. I brought something you might want to see, Vivian continues. About your father's construction company. Did you know he bid on Hamilton Properties contracts 3 years ago? Before you met Ryan? My blood runs cold. Dad never mentioned this. Such a shame about those anonymous complaints that killed the bid. Cost him nearly everything, didn't it? Would be terrible if history repeated itself. Ryan grabs my arm as I move toward the door. Don't, he whispers. But I'm already putting pieces together. The timing of Dad's near bankruptcy. The mysterious lost contracts. How convenient it was that Ryan met me just when my family was most vulnerable. 5 minutes, I say to Vivian through the door. Alone. Arya, no. Sophie starts. I turn to them both. Get to the factory. I'll meet you there. And if I don't, I hand Sophie the wedding photograph. Look at her eyes. Really look. Then check the dates of every suspicious death around her. Not just Charles's father. The bathroom window slides open silently. As they slip out, I count to 10, then open the door. Vivian stands there, elegant as ever, holding a thick folder. Smart girl, she says, finally learning to negotiate. Show me. She hands over the folder. Inside, I find documents proving everything. How she orchestrated my father's financial ruin. How she positioned Ryan to meet me. How she planned it all, years ago. Why? I ask, though I already suspect the answer. Because I needed to know, she says simply. If you were strong enough, if you could survive what I survived, what I had to become. You destroyed my family to test me? She smiles, and I see that hunger from the wedding photo. Stronger now. I made you stronger, like Charles's family made me stronger. The weak don't survive in this world, Arya. I needed to know if my son's wife could survive. I think of the offshore accounts, the suspicious deaths, the years of manipulation. And if I fail your test? Oh, darling. She reaches out to touch my cheek. I force myself not to flinch. You already have. The question now is, what are you willing to do about it? I step back, clutching the folder. I guess you'll find out at midnight. Her smile widens. So Derek reached out. Good. Remember what I said about survival, Arya. Only one of us can. As she walks away, I look down at the folder in my hands. The evidence I needed, handed over freely. Too freely. That's when I realize, this isn't just about survival anymore. It's about who's really being tested, and who's really doing the testing. The old Hamilton factory looms against the midnight sky, a steel and concrete tomb holding who knows how many secrets. Ryan's hand finds mine in the darkness. We don't have to do this, but we do. Because somewhere in that building, Derek is waiting with answers about Charles, about Vivian, about all the convenient accidents that paved her way to power. The side door creaks open at our touch. Inside, emergency lights cast sickly green shadows across abandoned machinery. Our footsteps echo on metal catwalks. Derek? Ryan calls out. A figure emerges from the shadows, but it's not Derek. It's Margaret, leaning heavily on her walker. Grandmother, Ryan steps forward. What are you? I'm sorry, she whispers. She made me choose. More shadows move. Security guards materialize from every corner. And there's Vivian, elegant even here, Derek at her shoulder, like a well-trained dog. Family, Vivian's voice that carries across the factory floor. Such a complicated thing, isn't it? I grip the folder of evidence she gave me earlier. Where's Sophie? Safe, for now. Vivian descends the metal stairs, each click of her heels like a gunshot, though that depends entirely on you. Ryan moves to shield me, but 2 guards grab his arms. Mother, stop this. Oh, darling, she sighs. I'm trying to save you from becoming your father, from choosing weakness over strength. She turns to me. Show them the folder, Arya. My hands shake as I open it. But the documents inside aren't what she gave me earlier. These are different. Photographs of my father accepting bribes, falsifying contracts, laundering money through his construction company. No, I shake my head. These are fake. Are they? Derek speaks up. Or did you just never want to see the truth? About your father, about Ryan, about yourself. What's he talking about? Ryan demands. Vivian produces another folder. Your father didn't just bid on Hamilton contracts, Arya. He helped me destroy his competitors, helped me cover up Charles's father's accident, all to protect his own interests. She smiles. Like father, like daughter. You're lying. Am I? Ask him yourself. The factory door opens again. My father walks in, looking older than I've ever seen him. Dad? He won't meet my eyes. I'm sorry, sweetheart. I did what I had to do, to protect us, to protect you. And now, Vivian continues, you'll do what you have to do, to protect everyone. She hands me a USB drive, all the evidence of your father's crimes, and Ryan's involvement. Yes, darling, she tells her son. Those contracts you signed last year, not quite as clean as you thought. The pieces fall into place. The arranged marriage, the tests, the manipulation. We were never players in this game. We were pieces being moved across Vivian's board. What do you want? My voice sounds hollow. Sign over your shares in the company. Admit to orchestrating the offshore accounts. Take the fall. She steps closer. Or watch everything you love burn. Don't. Ryan struggles against the guards. Arya, don't. Tick-tock. Derek checks his watch. Sophie's waiting, and those photos of her with the corporate accounts? Very convincing. I look at my father, broken by his own choices. At Margaret, forced to betray her grandson. At Ryan, finally seeing the true cost of his family's legacy. If I do this, I say slowly, everyone else walks away clean? You have my word. Vivian offers a pen and papers. Your word? I laugh, and it sounds like breaking glass. Like Charles had your word, like his father had your word. Charles was weak, she snaps. Like you're being weak now. Sometimes survival means sacrifice. I take the pen, feel its weight. Think about Sophie, about Ryan, about all the lives Vivian has destroyed in the name of survival. You're right, I say. Sometimes it does. I sign the papers, watch Vivian's triumphant smile. Watch my father's shoulders slump in relief. And then I pull out my phone, press play on the recording of everything that just happened, and watch that smile fade. You're not the only one who knows about sacrifice, I tell her. But before anyone can move, a shot rings out. Pain explodes in my shoulder. Through blurring vision, I see Derek lowering a gun, see Ryan breaking free, see Vivian's face transform from shock to something like respect. As darkness closes in, I hear her whisper, now we'll see who really survives. The hospital monitors beep steadily as I open my eyes. Ryan's asleep in the chair beside me, but Sophie stands at the window, phone pressed to her ear. They're moving the board meeting up, she whispers. Tomorrow morning, they're going to vote on the merger before anyone can stop them. I try to sit up, wincing at the pain in my shoulder. Where's the recording? Safe. But Vivian's claiming it was taken under duress, and with Dad's involvement, she trails off. The door opens. Vivian walks in, immaculate as ever. Behind her, Margaret wheels herself into the room, her walker replaced by a wheelchair I've never seen before. Everyone out, Vivian commands, except Arya. Ryan stirs. I'm not leaving. Yes, you are, Margaret cuts in. Begin. Both of you, this ends now. After they leave, Vivian sits on the edge of my bed, studies me like a specimen under glass. You know what happened to Charles? She asked quietly. You killed him. No. She pulls out an old photograph. He killed himself after he discovered what his father had done. The embezzlement, the fraud, the lives destroyed. His precious moral code couldn't handle the truth about his family's legacy. So you covered it up. I protected what was mine. Her fingers trace the photograph's edge, like you tried to protect your recording. But there's something you should know about survival, Arya. It's not about who's strongest. The door opens again. Derek enters, but something's different. He's not carrying himself like Vivian's loyal servant anymore. "Show her," Vivian commands. Derek hands me a file. Inside are documents spanning decades, all bearing Margaret's signature. Property transfers, bank accounts, death certificates. "I don't understand," I start. "My mother," Vivian's voice turns bitter, "taught me everything I know about his survival, about power. She orchestrated Charles's father's accident, arranged my marriage, shaped me into what she needed me to be." She looks at Margaret's wheelchair outside the door. "And now she's doing it again." The truth hits like another bullet. She's been playing us all. For years, Derek confirms. I've been reporting to her, not Vivian. Everything. The toast, the exclusion, the contracts, all designed to test both of you. But why? Because power without purpose is meaningless. Margaret wheels herself back in. And family without strength is doomed to fall. She looks at Vivian. "I had to know if either of you were worthy of the legacy, if you could do what needs to be done. And now," I ask. "Now we know." Margaret produces a gun, the same one Derek used. "One of you walks out of here with everything. The company, the truth, the future." She places it on my bed. "Choose." Vivian doesn't move, doesn't reach for the gun, just watches me with those hungry eyes. And suddenly, I understand. This isn't about survival. It's about breaking the cycle. I pick up the gun, point it at Margaret. "You're right. Family without strength is doomed." I turn it toward Vivian. "But strength without mercy is just another kind of weakness." Then I press play on my phone. Not on the factory recording, but on the conversation we just had. The full confession. "Sophie's not the only one who knows how to hack phones," I say, as Margaret's face darkens. "The board already has this, along with proof of every manipulation, every crime, every test. It's over." "You fool," Margaret snarls. "You've destroyed everything." "No," Vivian stands slowly. "She saved us from becoming you." She takes the gun from my hand, places it out of reach, from destroying ourselves. Security arrives minutes later. As they lead Margaret away, she calls back, "You'll regret this, both of you. Some things are worth any price." "She's right," Vivian says after they're gone. "About the price." She looks at me with something like respect. "Welcome to the family, Arya. The real one." I think of all the pain, all the manipulation, all the lives broken in the name of legacy and power. What happens now? Now, she smiles, but it's different. Tired, real. Now we learn how to survive without destroying each other. As she leaves, I notice she's left the old photograph behind. But now I see what I missed before. It wasn't hunger in her eyes back then. It was fear. The same fear I see in my own reflection now. The Hamilton estate sale draws a smaller crowd than expected. I watch from the second-floor window as strangers pick through generations of carefully curated power, reduced now to price tags and lot numbers. Vivian appears beside me, her reflection ghosting against the glass. Margaret's lawyer called. She's refusing visitors. Good. We stand in silence, watching an elderly couple examine a crystal vase, the one Vivian used for her wedding toast at my reception. The memory feels like it belongs to someone else. "I found this in Charles's old study." Vivian hands me a leather-bound journal. "You should read it." The pages smell of dust and secrets. Charles's handwriting fills each page with observation about his family's corruption, his growing horror at discovering the truth. The last entry is dated 3 days before his death. He was going to expose everything, I realize. Not just his father's crimes, but the whole system. "And now you have." Vivian's voice carries no accusation, just tired acceptance. "The board voted this morning. The company's being dissolved. Assets redistributed." Footsteps on the stairs. Ryan and Sophie, carrying boxes. My sister's eyes are red-rimmed, but her voice is steady. "Dad's paperwork is all sorted. The DA's office is offering a deal." "Take it," I tell her. "All of it ends here." Ryan sets down his box, pulls out an old photograph album. "Look what I found." The images tell a story I never saw before. Vivian as a young mother, teaching Ryan to walk. Margaret watching from the background, always watching. the slow transformation of a family into a fortress. We're selling the house, Vivian announces suddenly. All of it, starting fresh. Where will you go? I ask. She smiles, and for the first time, it reaches her eyes. There's a small town in Oregon. Charles talked about retiring there before everything. The elderly couple buys the vase. As they carry it out, sunlight catches the crystal, sending rainbow fragments dancing across the walls. I've been thinking about what Margaret said, I say quietly, about survival, about strength. And I think real strength is knowing when to let go. Ryan takes my hand. Outside, the last of the estate sale crowd is dispersing. Soon this house will be empty, its walls no longer echoing with decades of manipulation and fear. There's something else you should know, Vivian says, about your father's company. The contracts weren't all Margaret's doing. Some of them, I chose those targets myself, including your father. The admission should hurt more than it does. But looking at her now, I see something I never expected. Remorse. Why tell me this? Because survival isn't just about living through something, she says. It's about what you become while surviving. Sophie appears with more boxes, but stops short, sensing the moment. The four of us stand there, surrounded by the dismantled pieces of a dynasty built on fear and control. I found this too. Ryan pulls something from his pocket. My pearl necklace from our wedding day. Thought you might want it back. I take it, feel its weight. Then I walk to the window, open it, and let the pearls fall. They scatter across the driveway like drops of rain. Mother would call that wasteful, Vivian observes. No, I correct her. She'd call it weak, but she was wrong about a lot of things. Later, as the sun sets on the empty house, I find Charles's journal again. There's a line underlined near the end. The greatest victory isn't in destroying your enemies, but in refusing to become them. I leave the journal on Margaret's old desk. Let the next owners find it, or not. Some stories need to end for others to begin. As we lock up for the last time, Vivian pauses on the porch. You know she'll never stop, even from prison. Margaret will try to rebuild. Let her try, I say. We have something stronger than her kind of power now. What's that? I look at Ryan, at Sophie, at the woman who was my enemy and is now something else, something complicated and real. The truth, I answer, and each other. We walk away from the Hamilton estate together, leaving behind empty rooms filled with echoes of vengeance. Some of them might follow us. Some might even catch up one day. But that's tomorrow's survival.
Numbers don't lie. That's what I kept telling myself as I stared at my laptop screen, watching our joint account balance mock me with its glaring discrepancy. $50,000. Gone. Just like that, without a trace or explanation. I'm Layla, and until this moment, I thought I knew everything about my husband, Ethan. 12 years of marriage had taught me his habits, his tells, the way his left eye twitches when he's nervous. But nothing had prepared me for this. Hey, everything okay? Marcus poked his head into my office, his familiar concerned expression making me quickly minimize the banking window. You missed the morning briefing. Did I? My voice cracked. I cleared my throat, trying to maintain composure. Sorry, I got caught up in some calculations. Marcus stepped inside, closing the door behind him. Layla, you've been staring at your screen for the past hour. I can see your reflection in the window. I forced a smile, but my hands were shaking as I reached for my coffee mug. It's nothing, just some personal stuff. Personal stuff doesn't usually make you miss presenting the quarterly projections to the board. He leaned against my desk, his presence both comforting and intrusive. Want to talk about it? The mug trembled in my grip. Ethan's been different lately, distant, and now I'm looking at our accounts and I stopped myself, shame burning my cheeks. I shouldn't be discussing this at work. Different how? Late nights, mysterious phone calls. Last week he claimed he was visiting his sister in Phoenix, but when I called her, I set the mug down before I could spill it. She hadn't seen him in months. Marcus's expression darkened. Have you confronted him? He's got an explanation for everything. Always does. I pulled up the banking window again, pointing to the transaction history. But numbers don't lie, right? $50,000, transferred to an account I've never seen before. Jesus, Marcus whispered, leaning closer to examine the screen. When did this happen? 3 days ago, while I was at that conference in Boston. My phone buzzed on the desk, Ethan's face lighting up the screen. I let it ring. You should answer it, Marcus suggested, but I could hear the hesitation in his voice. I shook my head. Not until I figure out what I'm dealing with. I need to be smart about this. The phone stopped buzzing, only to start again immediately. This time, a text message appeared. Need to talk. Important. Please call me back. E. Whatever you decide to do, Marcus straightened up, heading for the door. Just remember you've got people in your corner. After he left, I sat there staring at Ethan's message, my mind racing through possibilities, each worse than the last. The pharmaceutical company where I worked had strict policies about personal matters affecting professional performance. I couldn't let this situation spiral out of control. My phone buzzed again. Another text from Ethan. Found us an amazing investment opportunity. We'll explain everything tonight. Love you. Investment opportunity. The words hit me like a slap. I remembered the last time he'd used that phrase. 3 years ago when he convinced his parents to refinance their house for a sure thing that ended up costing them their retirement savings. He'd sworn it wasn't his fault, that he'd been misled too. I'd believed him then. I opened my drawer and pulled out the business card Dr. Simmons had given me last month during Ethan's physical. Call me if you need to talk, she'd said, with an odd emphasis I hadn't understood at the time. Maybe she'd seen something I'd missed. The office suddenly felt too small, too confining. I gathered my things, told my assistant I was taking a personal day, and headed for the elevator. As the doors closed, I caught a glimpse of Marcus watching me from his office, his expression unreadable. I had no idea then that this was just the beginning, that the missing money would be the least of my concerns. But something inside me had shifted, like a switch being flipped. The trust I'd built my marriage on was crumbling, and in its place, something darker was taking root. The drive to Dr. Simmons's office felt like navigating through quicksand. Every red light stretched into eternity, every turn bringing me closer to answers I wasn't sure I wanted. The business card sat heavy in my pocket, its edges worn from my constant fidgeting. Dr. Simmons's receptionist recognized me immediately. Mrs. Harrison, doctors between patients, she said to send you right in when you arrived. The examination room smelled of antiseptic and secrets. Dr. Simmons stood by her desk, already waiting. I wondered when you'd call, she said, gesturing to a chair. How much do you know? About what? My voice sounded hollow, even to me. She pulled out a file, hesitating before opening it. During Ethan's last visit, I noticed some inconsistencies in his medical history, previous conditions that didn't match his records. What kind of inconsistencies? The kind that make me wonder if the Ethan Harrison in my office was the same Ethan Harrison from his previous medical records. She paused, studying my face. Have you ever verified his background? My phone buzzed. Another text from Ethan. Where are you? We need to talk about the investment. Time sensitive. Dr. Simmons noticed my hands shaking. Layla, there's something else. The prescription he requested last month. The office door opened. A nurse poked her head in. Doctor, your next patient is here. Give me 5 minutes, Dr. Simmons replied, then turned back to me. Listen carefully. Don't confront him yet. Get copies of all your financial documents first. And Layla, check the name Richard Thorne. Back at work, I couldn't focus. Marcus stopped by twice, but I barely registered his concerned looks. My computer screen blurred as I typed Richard Thorne into various search engines. Nothing significant appeared until I added fraud to the search. A newspaper article from 6 years ago showed a grainy photo of a man being led away by police. The image quality was poor, but something about the slope of his shoulders, The way he held his head, my office phone rang, startling me. Layla speaking. Hey, it's Sophie. Your sister's been trying to reach you. Something about Ethan showing up at her place. My blood ran cold. What? Lily said he was asking weird questions about your family's assets, claiming he needed the information for some kind of surprise for you. She felt uncomfortable. When was this? Yesterday afternoon. She tried calling you, but... I hung up, already dialing Lily's number. It went straight to voicemail. A knock at my door made me jump. Marcus entered, closing the door behind him. Board meeting in 10 minutes, but first, you need to see this. He placed a document on my desk, a copy of an email chain. This came through the company's compliance department. Someone's been accessing our confidential research data using your login credentials. That's impossible. The access points trace back to your home IP address. Late night hours when you're usually asleep. The pieces started falling into place. Ethan's late nights at home, his sudden interest in my work computer, the missing money. My stomach churned. I've delayed reporting this, Marcus continued, his voice low, but if there's something going on, I need to get home. I stood up, gathering my things. Tell them I'm sick. Layla, wait. Marcus caught my arm. Let me help. Whatever's happening. You can't. I pulled away, but his grip tightened slightly. At least let me drive you. You're shaking. In the parking lot, my car wouldn't start. The engine made a sickening grinding noise before falling silent. Marcus insisted on checking under the hood and found several cables deliberately disconnected. My phone buzzed again. Ethan, coming home early. Big news about our future. Everything's falling into place. I showed Marcus the message. His jaw tightened. You're not going back there alone. I have to. If he suspects I know anything. I trailed off, remembering Dr. Simmons's warning. Then we need a plan. Marcus pulled out his phone. I know someone in corporate security. Give me an hour. As we sat in his car, plotting my next move, I caught my reflection in the side mirror. The woman staring back at me looked different somehow. Harder, more determined. The trust I'd lost wasn't just about money anymore. It was about survival. The garage door was open when Marcus dropped me off. My car, the one that wouldn't start earlier, sat in the driveway, pristine and seemingly untouched. Ethan leaned against it, phone in hand, wearing that disarming smile that used to make my heart skip. There you are, he called out. You wouldn't believe the day I've had. The investment's locked in. We're looking at triple returns within 6 months. I felt Marcus's car idling behind me, his presence a silent guardian. The car's working now. Had Tom take a look at it. Simple fix. Ethan gestured toward our neighbor's house. You worry too much, honey. Tom appeared in his driveway, giving me an awkward wave. Something in his expression made me uneasy. Weird coincidence, he said, not quite meeting my eyes. Those cables must have come loose on their own. Marcus's car finally pulled away. The sound felt like abandonment. Inside, Ethan moved with unusual energy, pulling papers from his briefcase. Look at these projections. The returns are guaranteed. We just need to move quickly. Maybe liquidate some of your pharmaceutical stocks. My phone buzzed. A text from Lily. Call me now, emergency. I need to use the bathroom, I said, already moving toward the stairs. Ethan's hand caught my wrist. This can't wait, Layla. The opportunity expires tonight. I pulled away, forcing a smile. 5 minutes. In the bathroom, I called Lily. She answered on the first ring. He knows, she whispered. About Dr. Simmons, about everything. He was here again, asking about your trust fund. When I wouldn't tell him, Her voice cracked. The things he said about you, about our family. Are you safe? Sophie's picking me up. But Layla, there's more. I found something when he was here. A phone. Not his regular one. There were messages about... The line went dead. My hand shook as I tried calling back. Nothing. Downstairs, Ethan's voice carried up the stairs. He was on the phone. Yes, everything's proceeding as planned. She suspects nothing. No, that won't be a problem much longer. I crept closer to the stairs, straining to hear. The sister's becoming an issue. Yes, I understand. It'll be handled. No, Richard Thorne doesn't exist anymore. I made sure of that. My foot hit a creaky floorboard. The conversation stopped abruptly. Layla? Ethan called out. You've been up there a while. Everything okay? I flushed the toilet, buying time. When I came downstairs, he had a glass of wine waiting. Your favorite, he said, holding it out. I remembered Dr. Simmons's words about his prescription requests. Actually, I'm not feeling well. Maybe we should discuss this tomorrow. His smile tightened. The opportunity expires tonight, remember. Just take a sip, relax, and let me handle everything. The doorbell rang. Through the glass panels, I saw Marcus. What's he doing here? Ethan's voice had an edge I'd never heard before. Probably about the board meeting I missed. I moved toward the door, but Ethan blocked my path. You've been spending a lot of time with your manager lately. It's work-related, like those late-night emails from the company server. His mask slipped for a moment, revealing something cold beneath. You should be more careful with your passwords, honey. The doorbell rang again. 3 sharp, urgent rings. Don't answer it. Ethan's command was soft but absolute. My phone buzzed again, a text from Sophie. Lily's safe, police involved, get out now. Move, I said, surprising myself with the steel in my voice. Or what? He stepped closer, his familiar cologne now suffocating. You'll tell them about Richard Thorne? About the missing money? Who do you think they'll believe? The loving husband worried about his unstable wife, or the woman making wild accusations? The wine glass in his hand trembled slightly. For the first time, I saw uncertainty in his eyes. He wasn't sure how much I knew. The front door crashed open. Marcus stood there with 2 police officers, Tom right behind them, clutching what looked like security camera footage. I'm sorry, Tom said, looking at Ethan. I couldn't do it anymore, not after what you asked me to do to her car. The wine glass shattered on the floor, dark red spreading like blood across our pristine white tiles. In that moment, watching Ethan's carefully constructed world begin to crumble, I felt something shift inside me. This wasn't just about survival anymore. This was about justice. The police interview room felt smaller with each passing hour. Detective Chen pushed another cup of coffee across the table while I replayed the security footage Tom had provided. On the screen, Ethan methodically disconnected my car's cables, his movements precise, practiced, not the clumsy work of an amateur. Mrs. Harrison, Detective Chen said, we found something interesting in your neighbor's garage. Want to tell me about these? She slid photographs across the table. Surveillance equipment, far more sophisticated than anything Tom could afford. Next to them, printouts of my daily schedule, annotated in Ethan's familiar handwriting. I've never seen these. Your neighbor claims Ethan paid him to install them 3 months ago, right around the time your company started clinical trials on the new cancer drug. My coffee turned bitter in my mouth. The timing wasn't a coincidence. There's more. She produced a laptop. Your sister's phone was recovered. The contents are concerning. The video played. Ethan in Lily's living room, his charm turned predatory. Your sister's always been the smart one, hasn't she? Figuring things out too quickly. But accidents happen, Lily, especially to people who ask too many questions. My hands clenched until my nails cut into my palms. I want to press charges. That's the thing. Detective Chen closed the laptop. We can't find him. His fingerprints match 3 different identities in our database. Richard Thorne is just one of them. A knock interrupted us. Marcus stood in the doorway, looking exhausted. They found something at the office. In the elevator up to our floor, Marcus kept glancing at me. You should prepare yourself, he said finally. My office door hung open. Inside, forensics teams photographed my decimated workspace. My computer was gutted, hard drive missing. But worse were the walls, covered in photographs. Me sleeping, shopping, meeting Dr. Simmons, having lunch with Marcus. He's been watching me for months, I whispered. Not just you. Marcus pointed to a stack of papers on my desk. These were hidden in his cloud storage. He's been selling company research to competitors, using your login credentials. The room spun. The clinical trials. Compromised. The board's meeting now to discuss damage control. My phone buzzed. An unknown number. The text contained only an image. Lily's house. Current timestamp. Lights on inside. He's there, I said, showing Marcus. He's at my sister's house right now. Police are on their way, Detective Chen called from the doorway. Don't! But I was already running, Marcus close behind. In the parking garage, he grabbed my arm. You can't go alone. He's my husband. My responsibility. Was your husband, Marcus corrected. And he's not working alone. Think about the resources needed for this level of surveillance. Someone's backing him. Another text arrived. A video of Lily entering her house, unaware she was being filmed. Below it, words that made my blood freeze. Should have taken the wine, honey. Marcus's keys jangled between us. I'm driving. The 15-minute drive to Lily's house felt endless. Marcus broke every speed limit while I tried calling her. No answer. There's something you should know, Marcus said, turning onto her street. The board meeting today, it wasn't just about the trials. Someone's been accessing restricted files about our pharmaceutical patents. Files only accessible from your home network. Understanding hit like a physical blow. The investment opportunity he kept pushing was never about money. It was about access. We turned the corner to Lily's house. Every light blazed, but her car was missing. In the driveway stood Sophie, frantically waving us down. She's not here, Sophie called out as we approached, but he left this. She handed me an envelope. Inside was a single photograph, Ethan and me on our wedding day. On the back, in his handwriting, "You really should learn to trust your husband, Layla. Now everyone pays the price." My phone buzzed one final time. A video. Lily tied to a chair, terror in her eyes. Behind her, Ethan's voice. "Ready to discuss those patents now, honey?" The screen went black, leaving only my reflection, a woman I barely recognized anymore. The time for playing victim was over. Ethan wanted to see how far I'd go to protect what's mine. He was about to find out. "Call Detective Chen," I told Marcus, already heading back to the car. "Tell her to meet us at the office. I know where he's taking her." The abandoned research facility loomed before us, its darkened windows reflecting the last rays of sunset. Marcus killed the engine, but I was already moving, Dr. Simmons's voicemail replaying in my head. "Layla, I found his original medical records. The man you married, he's done this before. 3 times. The wives all disappeared. Security cameras tracked our approach. Good, let him see me coming." "You realize this is exactly what he wants," Marcus said, matching my stride. "He's counting on you being emotional, making mistakes. He has my sister, and a team of corporate spies backing him. The police are 15 minutes out. We should wait." "You don't have to come." His hand caught my arm. "That's not what I meant. The key card I'd stolen from Ethan's desk months ago still worked." The door clicked open, releasing stale air and memories. This was where we'd first met, where he'd charmed his way into my life with that perfect smile and carefully crafted backstory. Inside, emergency lights cast sickly shadows. Our footsteps echoed through empty corridors until a familiar voice cut through the darkness. "Did you really think I wouldn't recognize my own wife's perfume?" Ethan's voice came through the PA system, distorted but unmistakable. "3rd floor, honey, just like our first date, remember?" Marcus reached for his phone. I stopped him. "No signal, he's jamming it." "Layla." The concern in his voice made me pause. "What aren't you telling me?" Before I could answer, a scream pierced the silence. "Lily." We ran toward the stairs, but the sound of a door slamming stopped us. Through the window, I caught a glimpse of movement in the parking lot. "He's playing us," Marcus realized. splitting us up. Another scream, closer this time. Marcus hesitated, torn between following me and checking the parking lot. "Go," I said. "I know where he's keeping her." The third-floor laboratory still smelled of chemicals and broken dreams. This was where our company's failed cancer drug had been developed, where millions had been lost, where Ethan had first accessed our research. Lily sat tied to a chair in the center of the room, duct tape across her mouth. Behind her, screens displayed security footage of the building, including Marcus heading toward the parking lot. The famous big sister coming to the rescue. Ethan emerged from the shadows, holding something that made my blood freeze. My old research notebook. "You know what I found interesting about your early trials? The unreported side effects, the deaths you covered up. Let her go. This is between us. Is it?" He flipped through the notebook. "Your sister was so helpful, telling me where you kept your backup data. All those years of falsified research hidden away in a safety deposit box. Imagine the board's reaction when this leaks." Lily's muffled protest drew my attention. Her eyes weren't showing fear anymore. They were trying to tell me something. "You're not the only one who can play detective, honey." Ethan's smile turned cruel. "Did you really think Marcus was helping you out of the goodness of his heart? Ask him about Project Eclipse. Ask him who really authorized those failed trials." Movement behind Ethan caught my eye. A reflection in the darkened windows. Marcus, gun raised. "You destroyed everything I built," I said, keeping Ethan's attention. "My marriage, my career, my family. No, sweetheart, you did that yourself. I just exposed the truth about who you really are." He moved closer, notebook extended like a peace offering. "But we can still fix this. Together. Just like before." The gunshot shattered the silence. But Ethan didn't fall. Instead, Marcus crashed through the door, blood spreading across his shirt. "Sorry, honey." Ethan's smile never wavered. "Didn't I mention? Your friend Tom's been very cooperative since we found those tax fraud records." Lily's chair toppled as she fought against her restraints. Marcus lay motionless, and something inside me, something I'd kept caged since discovering that first missing payment, finally broke free. I lunged for the notebook, but Ethan was faster. As we grappled, his phone clattered to the floor, revealing an open email. "Project Eclipse termination authorized. Eliminate all witnesses." The implications hit harder than any physical blow. This wasn't just about stealing research or ruining my life. This was about silencing everyone who knew the truth. And I had just led Marcus right to him. Marcus's blood stained my hands as I pressed against his wound. Behind me, Lily had worked one hand free, but Ethan's attention was fixed on his phone, reading something that made him laugh. "You know what's funny?" He held up the screen. "Your sister just got copied on every illegal trial document you ever signed. The board, the FDA, even those grieving families. They'll all know exactly who covered up those deaths." "He's lying," Marcus gasped, his voice barely audible. "Layla, the trials weren't your fault." Ethan's smile widened. "Tell her, Marcus. Tell her who really ordered those experimental treatments, who falsified the consent forms." The laboratory lights flickered, casting strange shadows across Marcus's paling face. "I had to protect the company," he whispered, "but I never meant for anyone to die." The truth hit like physical pain. All those patients, all those families seeking answers. And I'd helped hide it. My signature on every document, trusting Marcus, trusting the system. "There it is." Ethan circled us slowly. "That moment when you realize everyone's been lying to you, even your white knight here." Lily's chair creaked as she worked at her restraints. Through the windows, distant sirens wailed. Too far away, too late. "But I'll make you a deal." Ethan set my research notebook on a nearby bench. "Give me access to Project Eclipse's complete data, and this stays buried. Your sister keeps her career. Marcus might even survive, and those families never learn the truth." "Don't," Marcus coughed, blood staining his lips. "Project Eclipse. It's not what you think. Ethan's phone chimed. He glanced at it, his composure cracking slightly. Time's running out, honey. The board's emergency meeting starts in 20 minutes. Once those documents hit their inbox. A crash from the hallway made us all jump. Footsteps approached. Heavy, multiple sets. That'll be my associates, Ethan said. Less understanding than me, I'm afraid. Last chance. My hands were slick with Marcus's blood as I helped him sit up. The access codes, he whispered. Don't. Shut up. Ethan kicked him hard. You've manipulated her enough. The footsteps grew closer. Through the laboratory's glass walls, shadows moved in the corridor. I trusted you, I told Marcus, my voice breaking. All those patients. The real data, he gasped. Safety deposit box. Explains everything. Ethan checked his watch. 10 seconds, Layla. Choose. Lily had worked the duct tape loose enough to speak. He's bluffing, she said. The email he showed you. Check the timestamp. I lunged for Ethan's discarded phone, but he was faster. The screen shattered as he smashed it against the floor. Wrong choice. He nodded toward the door as 3 men in tactical gear entered. Take care of them. Make it look like a lab accident. Wait. I stepped forward, hands raised. The backup server. In the basement. I can give you everything. Ethan studied my face, searching for deception. You're lying. Check my keycard access logs. Why do you think I came here? The men looked to Ethan for instructions. In that moment of hesitation, Lily's chair finally toppled. She rolled free, kicking the notebook into a puddle of spilled chemicals. The laboratory erupted into chaos. As Ethan lunged for the notebook, I grabbed for his phone's remains. Marcus slumped against me, his breathing shallow. Kill them all, Ethan ordered, but his voice held a new edge. Desperation. The tactical team raised their weapons. Through the broken phone screen, I saw the email timestamp Lily had noticed. It was dated next week. He's using you, I told them. Project Eclipse isn't what he promised. Shoot them, Ethan screamed. But the men hesitated, looking at each other. In their moment of uncertainty, distant voices echoed through the building. Police, finally arriving. Ethan pulled out a gun. Fine, I'll do it myself. The shot echoed like thunder. Marcus slumped in my arms, no longer breathing. Lily screamed. And something inside me, the last trace of the woman who had once loved this monster, died with Marcus. I looked up at my husband, seeing him clearly for the first time. You want to know about Project Eclipse? Follow me. As I led them toward the basement, Ethan's gun pressed against my back. I realized there was no going back. Whatever happened next would destroy us all. And maybe that was exactly what we deserved. The basement's emergency lights cast everything in blood-red shadows. Ethan's gun pressed between my shoulder blades as we descended, his mercenaries flanking us. Above, police sirens grew louder, but we all knew they'd be too late. The server room's through here, I said, swiping my keycard. Nothing happened. I tried again. Stop stalling. Ethan's voice had lost its smooth charm, revealing something rawer beneath. You really think I didn't disable your access? Then shoot me. I turned to face him. Because that's the only way you're getting what you want. His laugh echoed off concrete walls. Always so dramatic. Like when you threatened to expose the trial deaths. But you didn't, did you? Because deep down, you're just like me. A door slammed somewhere above us. The mercenaries exchanged glances. Sir, one said, we need to move. Ethan pulled out his phone, showing me the screen. A video feed of the upstairs lab. Lily still there, now with a guard standing over her. Last chance, honey. The real Project Eclipse data, or your sister joins Marcus. I took a step closer, close enough to smell his cologne, the same scent I'd once found so intoxicating. You want to know the truth about Project Eclipse? His eyes narrowed. The backup server doesn't exist. I smiled, feeling something cold and final settle in my chest. But the safety deposit box does. The one Marcus mentioned. I visited it this morning. The first flicker of uncertainty crossed his face. Behind him, One of the mercenaries touched his earpiece, listening to something. "You were so focused on the trial data," I continued. "You never asked why Marcus kept protecting me. Why he really hired me all those years ago." "Sir," the mercenary interrupted, "we've got movement on multiple floors." "Shut up!" Ethan's composure cracked further. "What are you talking about?" Project Eclipse wasn't about the drug trials. It was about identifying corporate spies. Like the ones who killed Marcus's wife 5 years ago. The ones you're working for. Understanding dawned in his eyes, followed quickly by fear. "You're lying." "Check your phone again. That video feed of Lily. It's a loop from 20 minutes ago." He glanced down. In that moment, I moved. The gun went off, the shot deafening in the confined space. But I was already rolling, my hand finding the emergency alarm panel Marcus had shown me months ago. The sprinklers activated, but instead of water, chemical foam poured down. The mercenaries' equipment sparked and died. "Clear." Sophie's voice echoed from the stairwell as she led a tactical team in. The real one, the one Marcus had arranged before everything went wrong. Ethan lunged for me, but slipped in the foam. His gun clattered away. "You don't understand," he gasped. "They'll kill me." "Like you killed Marcus? Like you killed those other wives?" He reached for something in his jacket. I didn't hesitate. The syringe I'd palmed from the upstairs lab found his neck, just like he'd planned for me. "What?" His eyes widened as recognition hit. "The trial drug. A dose large enough to show every side effect you helped cover up." I watched him slump against the wall. "Don't worry. You'll live. Long enough to experience everything those patients did." The tactical team secured the mercenaries. Sophie appeared beside me, helping me up. "Lily's safe. The real Project Eclipse data is already with the FBI. And the board meeting, streaming live. They've seen everything, including Ethan's real identity and his connection to the corporate espionage ring." I looked down at my husband, the man I'd loved, the monster I'd married. He stared back, his handsome features already showing the first signs of the drug's effects. "You were right," I told him softly. "I am just like you. The difference is, I chose justice over revenge." As they led him away, his screams echoing through the basement, I felt no satisfaction. Only a hollow emptiness where love had once lived. Sophie touched my arm. "Marcus left something for you, in case things went wrong." She handed me an envelope. Inside was a single note. Project Eclipse was never about the data. It was about finding someone strong enough to finish what my wife started. "Thank you." The sirens grew closer as we climbed the stairs, leaving the basement and its secrets behind. But the echoes of what happened there would haunt us all forever. Some vengeance, I realized, comes not from what we do to others, but from what we force them to face in themselves. The hospital corridor stretched endlessly before me as I approached Ethan's room. Through the observation window, I watched him thrash against his restraints, his once handsome face contorted by the drug's effects, the same effects he'd helped hide from those trial patients. Dr. Simmons stood beside me, reviewing his charts. "The symptoms will persist for months. Every one of them documented now, impossible to deny." "And the others?" I asked. "His previous wives? 2 have been found alive, in witness protection." She hesitated. "The 3rd?" I turned away from the window. "I don't want to know." The click of heels announced Sophie's arrival. The board just finished reviewing Marcus's complete files. Everything about Project Eclipse, the corporate espionage ring, even records of his wife's murder. He'd documented it all. "He knew," I said softly, "from the moment Ethan started working there, and he chose you to finish it." Sophie handed me a USB drive. "This was in his safety deposit box, along with a letter for you." Through the window, Ethan's eyes found mine. For a moment, I saw a flash of the man I'd loved, or thought I'd loved. Then his face twisted in another spasm of pain. "The FBI wants your statement," Sophie continued, "about the trial cover-ups. I'll give them everything." I pocketed the drive without looking at it. The patients' families deserve to know the truth. A commotion down the hall drew our attention. Lily appeared, accompanied by 2 federal agents. "They found Tom," she said. "He's agreed to testify about Ethan's network." I watched my sister, noting how she held herself differently now, stronger, more assured. We all carried scars from this, but maybe they'd made us harder to break. "Mrs. Harrison," a nurse approached. "He's asking for you." Inside the room, the restraints creaked as Ethan struggled to sit up. "Come to enjoy the show?" His voice was raspy, barely recognizable. "No." I stayed by the door. "I came to return something." I placed our wedding ring on his bedside table. He stared at it, then laughed, a horrible broken sound. Still so righteous. "But we both know the truth. You enjoyed it, didn't you? Watching me suffer? That makes you just like—" "No," I cut him off. "It makes me nothing like you, because I'm walking away." His laughter stopped. "They'll never believe you about the trials. You signed off on them too." "Maybe, but unlike you, I can live with the consequences of my choices." As I turned to leave, he called out, "I did love you, you know, in my way." I paused at the door. "That's the difference between justice and revenge, Ethan. Justice doesn't care if you loved me." Outside, Lily and Sophie waited. Behind them, through the hospital windows, the sun was setting over the city. Marcus's letter burned in my pocket, still unopened. "What now?" Lily asked. I watched a young couple pass by, their hands intertwined, faces bright with trust and possibility. Once, that had been me, but the woman I was then died in that basement, alongside the lies she'd built her life around. "Now," I said, "we tell the truth, all of it." My phone buzzed. A message from Dr. Simmons. "Found something in Ethan's original medical records. We need to talk." I deleted it without reading further. Some truths could wait. Some secrets deserved to stay buried, at least for now. "You're not going to look at the drive, are you?" Sophie asked as we walked away. "Marcus knew what he was doing," I replied. "Whatever's on it, that's tomorrow's battle." The hospital doors slid open, releasing us into the evening air. Somewhere in the city, federal agents were unraveling Ethan's network. Families were finally learning the truth about their loved ones' deaths. And in a quiet cemetery, Marcus's wife's case was being reopened. Justice, I'd learned, wasn't a single act of revenge. It was a chain of consequences, each link forged by our choices, our secrets, our lies. And sometimes, the hardest part wasn't achieving it, but living with what it revealed about ourselves. I felt the weight of Marcus's letter, the mystery of the drive, the unread message from Dr. Simmons, tomorrow's battles, tomorrow's truths. For now, this was enough. Walking away, letting the echoes of vengeance fade into something quieter, something that felt almost like peace. Almost.
The first sign that my life was imploding came in the form of a credit card statement that wasn't supposed to exist. I found it wedged between the pages of Alejandro's legal briefs while organizing his home office, a task he'd always insisted on doing himself. Until today. My name is Ava, and I'm a financial planner who somehow missed the biggest financial fraud happening right under my nose. The irony isn't lost on me. "Honey, did you need any help with that?" Alejandro called from downstairs, his voice carrying that forced casualness that I'd been picking up on lately, but couldn't quite place. "No, I'm good," I called back, my hands trembling as I stared at the statement. 4-star hotels, jewelry stores, romantic restaurants, all in the past 3 months. None of them with me. My phone buzzed. A text from Kayla. "Still on for lunch tomorrow. Miss you. Haven't seen you in forever." But tonight, in the darkness of our bedroom, I made myself a promise. They thought they were so clever, the lawyer and the backstabbing best friend, playing the long game. But they'd forgotten one crucial detail. Numbers were my language, evidence was my ammunition, and revenge would be my masterpiece. I turned away from Alejandro and smiled into my pillow. They wanted to play? Game on. Mrs. Hayes, I have to say, This is one of the most meticulously documented cases I've seen, Samson said, adjusting his tie as he reviewed the files I'd brought to his office. Most people in your situation come to me with suspicions. You've brought me a roadmap. I'd chosen him specifically because he specialized in financial fraud and had never lost a case against my husband's law firm. I need to know what my options are. First, he leaned forward, we need to secure your assets. Today. How much time do we have? Based on the patterns I've found, they're planning to leave after the Henderson payout. That's in 3 weeks. Samson whistled. Ambitious. They're looking at what, 2 million? 2.3. I pulled out my laptop. And that's just the obvious part. Look at this. I showed him the trail I'd uncovered. A series of small transfers to an offshore account, disguised as business expenses. Alejandro had been careful, but he'd underestimated my attention to detail. My phone buzzed. Kayla again. Lunch was amazing yesterday. We should do it more often before you get too busy with work. Lunch had been a masterclass in acting. I'd sat there, smiling and nodding as she talked about her upcoming business trip, the same week as Alejandro's legal conference in the Cayman Islands. Your friend's not very subtle, Samson observed. No, she isn't. I showed him the text. But she's useful. Every message is another piece of evidence. Okay, he started typing on his computer. First, we file for an emergency freeze on all joint assets. Then, my phone rang. Lisa, he's asking questions, she said without preamble. He just called me about getting together for your birthday planning. Perfect. Keep him busy. I need another hour here. Already on it. I've invited him to help me pick out your gift. We're meeting at the mall in 20 minutes. You're the best. Samson raised an eyebrow as I hung up. Reliable sister? The most. I turned back to the documents. What's our next step? We need to document everything without tipping them off. Your neighbor, Emerson, was it? The one who saw them together? We'll need her statement. Already got it. I pulled out a sealed envelope. Notarized this morning. A notification popped up on my phone. A bank alert. Another transfer attempt from our joint account to the offshore one. Look at this, I showed Samson. They're getting bolder. Or desperate. He studied the notification. This works in our favor. Each attempt strengthens our case. I spent the next hour signing papers, transferring funds to secure accounts, and laying the groundwork for what was coming. By the time I left Samson's office, the first phase was in motion. My phone buzzed with a text from Alejandro. Your sister is impossible to shop for you with. Miss you? Dinner tonight? Can't wait, I replied, adding a heart emoji. Where should we go? That new Italian place? The same restaurant where he'd taken Kayla last week, according to the credit card statement. Perfect. That evening, I dressed carefully. The blue dress he loved, hair down the way he preferred. As I applied my lipstick, another text came through, this time from an unknown number. Samson. Papers filed, assets secured, green light for phase 2. Alejandro was waiting downstairs, keys in hand. You look beautiful. Thank you. I kissed his cheek, noting the faint trace of perfume that wasn't mine. Shall we? At the restaurant, he was the perfect husband. Attentive, charming, ordering my favorite wine. I watched him perform, marveling at how I'd never noticed the calculation behind his smile. Everything okay? He asked. You seem quiet. Just thinking about work. The Henderson account is taking up all my mental space. His fork paused halfway to his mouth. The Henderson account? Any issues? I almost laughed. My best friend since college, texting me like nothing was wrong, while her name was all over these receipts. Restaurant charges for 2, always when I was at my weekly client meetings, always with Alejandro's card. You sure you don't need help? Alejandro's footsteps were coming up the stairs now. I slipped the statement into my jacket pocket. Actually, I'm feeling a bit hungry. Want to order in? No, everything's right on schedule. I smiled. The payout's actually coming a week earlier than planned. Isn't that great? I watched the panic flash in his eyes before he covered it with a smile. That's Wonderful, honey. Later that night, as he slept, I checked my phone one last time. 3 new messages. From Kayla. Girls' night soon, before my business trip? From Lisa. He spent 2 hours looking at jewelry he's never going to give you. Oscar-worthy performance from me, BTW. And from Samson. Everything in place. They won't know what hit them. I turned off my phone and closed my eyes, listening to Alejandro's steady breathing beside me. 3 more weeks of this charade. 3 weeks of smiles and kisses and careful documentation. Then we'd see who was really the better player at this game. They're in there right now, Emerson whispered, peeking through her kitchen window that overlooked the coffee shop across the street. 3rd time this week. I stood beside her, watching Alejandro and Kayla sitting at their corner table, heads close together over what looked like documents. My husband had told me he was in court all morning. Want me to record them again? Emerson asked, phone already in hand. Please, and thank you for doing this. Are you kidding? After what they did to Marcus last year? She pressed record. Your husband was his divorce lawyer while sleeping with his wife. They deserve everything coming to them. That was news to me. Marcus from the hardware store? Yep. Lost everything in the settlement. Had to move back in with his parents. I filed that information away for later. Send the video to my secure email? Already done. Emerson turned from the window. Coffee? As we sat at her kitchen counter, my phone lit up with an email notification. Not my regular account. The one I'd created using the fake name I'd found in Alejandro's documents. The same one he and Kayla had been using to communicate. Holy shit, I muttered, reading the email. What is it? They're not waiting for the Henderson payout. They're moving up their timeline. I showed her the email chain I'd managed to access. They're leaving next week. But you said, nah, I know. I fed them false information about an early payout. They took the bait. I grabbed my phone and dialed Samson. I saw the emails, he said before I could speak. We're ready. Everything's in place. Move it up, all of it, today. Today? Ava, are you sure? Through the window, I watched Kayla laugh at something Alejandro said. Absolutely sure. After hanging up, I texted Lisa. It's happening today. You ready? Her response was immediate. Born ready, heading to her house now. Emerson touched my arm. What can I do? Keep recording. I need to make a call. I stepped onto her back porch and dialed a number I'd memorized weeks ago. It rang twice. Mrs. Rodriguez, this is Ava Hayes. About that investment opportunity we discussed. I'm in. Mrs. Rodriguez, Marcus's mother, had been waiting for this call. Within minutes, everything was arranged. Back inside, Emerson was still watching the coffee shop. They're leaving. I checked my watch. Right on schedule. Thank you for everything, I told her. I need to go. Wait. She grabbed my arm. There's something else you should know. Last week, when they were here, I overheard them talking about other accounts. Multiple ones. Show me. She pulled up another video on her phone. The audio was faint, but clear enough. Alejandro and Kayla discussing account numbers, dates, amounts, all carefully documented by my vigilant neighbor. Send it to Samson, I said, already heading for the door. And Emerson, when this is over, I'm buying you a better camera. I drove to my office, where my team had been prepped for weeks. They knew what to do without me having to say a word. As I walked in, Sarah from accounting handed me a stack of papers. All the transfers are flagged, she said. Every single one. Perfect. I sat at my desk and opened my laptop. Let's begin. The next few hours were a blur of phone calls, emails, and document signing. By 3 o'clock, everything was in position. My phone buzzed. Lisa. In position at Kayla's. You won't believe what I found. Another buzz. Samson. Court order secured. Standing by. And then, right on cue, Alejandro. Working late tonight, honey. Big case. I smiled at my phone. No problem. I'll be working late too. The Henderson account needs attention. He appeared in the doorway, handsome as ever in his casual weekend wear. I have that dinner meeting tonight, remember? The Morrison case? Right, of course. I smiled, wondering if the Morrison case had perfect blonde hair and wore the perfume I'd gifted Kayla last Christmas. No problem, I'll heat up some leftovers. His response came quickly. Don't work too hard. Love you. I put my phone down and looked at the time. In about an hour, Alejandro would discover that his access to our accounts had been revoked. Shortly after that, he'd learn about the court order freezing all assets, including the ones he thought I didn't know about. And Kayla? By now, Lisa would have gathered enough evidence from her house to destroy any chance of them claiming innocence. My phone rang again. This time, it was Marcus. Mom told me what's happening, he said. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. No, you don't understand. After what they did, just thank you. I ended the call and stood up, walking to my office window. Across the street, I could see Alejandro's law firm. Any minute now, he'd be getting a very interesting package of documents. My phone buzzed one final time. Samson. It's done. Ready when you are. I grabbed my coat and headed for the door. Time to go watch their world burn. The first call came exactly 17 minutes after the documents were delivered. I watched my phone vibrate across my desk, Alejandro's face lighting up the screen. I let it ring. He's trying to access the Henderson account, Sarah reported from her computer. System's denying him. My phone buzzed again. Kayla this time. Ava, please call me, it's urgent. The office door burst open. Lisa strode in, holding up a USB drive like a trophy. You're not going to believe what I found at Kayla's place. Tell me. Not just your accounts. She plugged the drive into my computer. They've done this before, 3 times. Different cities, different victims, always the same pattern. Photos filled my screen, documents, bank statements, letters. A systematic trail of destruction across state lines. My phone kept buzzing. Alejandro, Kayla, Alejandro again. Ms. Hayes? My assistant poked her head in. Mr. Hayes is in the lobby. He's quite insistent. I straightened my jacket. Perfect timing. Lisa, send everything to Samson. Sarah, start the trace on those other accounts. The elevator ride down felt longer than usual. When the doors opened, I saw him pacing the lobby, running his hands through his hair. A tell I'd learned meant he was panicking. Ava! He rushed toward me. There's been a mistake. The accounts are frozen? I smiled. No mistake. He stopped short, his face changing as realization hit. How long have you known? Long enough. I nodded to security. Mr. Hayes was just leaving. Ava, please. Let me explain. Explain what? The offshore accounts? The plans with Kayla? Or should we talk about Marcus first? He paled. Marcus? And the others before him. Did you really think I wouldn't find out? His phone chimed. He checked it, cursed, then looked at me with desperate eyes. Whatever you think you know? I know everything. I stepped closer, lowering my voice. Every account, every meeting, every lie. And in about 10 minutes, so will the Bar Association. As if on cue, his phone exploded with notifications. I watched his face as he read them, saw the moment he realized it was all falling apart. You can't do this, he whispered. I already have. He grabbed my arm. You'll destroy everything! Security moved forward, but I held up my hand. No, Alejandro. You did that yourself. Now, would you like to leave on your own, or should these gentlemen help you? He let go, straightened his tie, tried to recover his dignity. This isn't over. Actually, it is. Oh, and Alejandro, I called as he turned to leave. Say hi to Kayla for me. She might want to check her own accounts. The moment he was gone, my phone rang. Samson, it's done, he said. The Bar Association has everything. So does the FBI's Financial Crimes Unit. And Kayla? Her firm just received an interesting package about employee fraud. I'd say her partnership track is effectively over. I ended the call and turned to Lisa, who'd appeared beside me. Ready for phase 2? She grinned. Marcus and his parents are waiting at Samson's office, along with some other interested parties. My phone buzzed again. A text from Emerson. They're at the coffee shop, both of them, looking pretty frantic. Good, I checked my watch. Time to pay them a visit. Want backup? Lisa asked. No, this part I need to do alone. The coffee shop was 3 blocks away. I walked slowly, letting them stew in their panic. Through the window, I could see them huddled in their usual corner, phones out, faces pale. Later that night, I sat in our kitchen, laptop open, methodically going through our joint accounts. 12 years of marriage, and I trusted him to handle our personal finances while I managed everyone else's money. Another bitter irony. My phone rang. It was Lisa, my sister. Hey, what's up? I tried to keep my voice steady. Ava, are you okay? You sound weird. I hesitated. Lisa had never liked Alejandro. Can you come over? The bell chimed as I pushed open the door. They both looked up, and for a moment, nobody moved. Ava, Kayla started, standing. We can explain. Sit down. My voice was ice. She sat. I pulled up a chair, noting how they instinctively leaned away from me. So let's talk about Marcus. Who? Kayla's confusion was almost convincing. Don't. I placed my phone on the table, started playing a recording. Their voices filled the space between us, discussing their previous schemes, their plans, their victims. Where did you get that? Alejandro demanded. Does it matter? I have everything. The accounts in Arizona, the couple in Oregon, all of it. Kayla started to cry. Alejandro reached for my hand. I pulled back. Please, he said. We can fix this. No, we can't. I stood up. But don't worry. I'm sure you'll have plenty of time to think about it. The FBI tends to be thorough with their investigations. As I walked out, I heard Kayla call my name. I didn't look back. My phone buzzed with a message from Samson. Marcus and the others are ready. Time to finish this. I smiled, hailed a cab, and headed toward the next phase of their destruction. Sometimes karma needed a little help, and I was more than happy to assist. Samson's conference room was packed. Marcus sat at one end of the long table, his parents beside him. Next to them were 2 couples I'd never met in person, the victims from Arizona and Oregon. Their faces showed the same mix of anger and betrayal I saw in my mirror every morning. They're running, Lisa announced, bursting into the room. Emerson just saw them leaving the coffee shop with suitcases, headed to the airport. I smiled. Right on schedule. Should we stop them? Marcus asked, half rising from his chair. No need. I nodded to Samson, who pulled up a live feed on the conference room screen. Airport security cameras showed Alejandro and Kayla rushing through the terminal. Their passports have been flagged, Samson explained. They're not going anywhere. We watched as they approached the international departures counter. Even without audio, we could see the moment everything fell apart. The confused looks, the frantic phone calls, the arrival of airport security. Is that... The woman from Oregon leaned forward. Are they being arrested? Not yet. I checked my watch. That comes next. Right on cue, 2 FBI agents appeared on screen. We watched in silence as Alejandro and Kayla were led away, their luggage abandoned at the counter. Holy shit, Marcus whispered. You actually did it. We did it, I corrected. All of us. Your documentation helped build the case. The woman from Arizona, Janet, wiped tears from her eyes. When you contacted us, I couldn't believe it was happening again, that they were still doing this. They were good at covering their tracks, her husband added, but not good enough. My phone buzzed, a call from an unknown number. Alejandro, probably using his one phone call. I declined it. What happens now? Marcus asked. Samson stood up, straightening his tie. Now we move forward with the civil suits. Ms. Hayes has already agreed to testify about their financial schemes. With the evidence we've gathered, plus their attempted flight, we have an extremely strong case. And the criminal charges? Marcus's father leaned forward. FBI's handling those. Wire fraud across state lines, conspiracy, multiple counts of financial fraud. They're looking at serious time. Another buzz from my phone. Kayla this time, using her call to send a text. Please, Ava, don't do this. We can work something out. I showed the message to Lisa, who snorted. The audacity! I have something you all need to see, I said, pulling out my laptop. Lisa found this at Kayla's house. It's their playbook. Detailed notes on how they selected their targets, how they manipulated accounts, everything. The room fell silent as I played the video files. Secret recordings Kayla had kept as insurance against Alejandro. Hours of them planning their schemes, laughing about their victims, counting their stolen money. Turn it off, Janet whispered. I can't watch anymore. I closed the laptop. I'm sorry, I know this is difficult, but we needed you to see who they really are. What about our money? The Oregon husband, David, asked quietly. 20 minutes later, we sat at my kitchen island. The evidence spread out before us. That lying, cheating bastard, Lisa whispered, scanning the documents. And Kayla? You're Kayla? I'll kill them both. No, I said, surprising myself with how calm I felt. I have a better idea. Ava. Did you know, I said, pulling up our investment portfolio, that Alejandro gave me power of attorney over all our accounts last year? He said it was easier since I'm the financial expert. Already traced, Samson replied. Once the FBI finishes their investigation, we can begin recovery proceedings. Ms. Hayes has already offered to help navigate the financial aspects. My phone buzzed again. This time, it was Emerson. Their families are at your house, looking pretty angry. Let them be angry, I texted back. The security cameras will catch everything. The conference room door opened, and an FBI agent stepped in. We're ready for your statements now. Who'd like to go first? One by one, they left to tell their stories. I stayed behind with Lisa, watching the airport footage loop on the screen. You okay? She asked softly. Better than okay. I turned to her. But there's one more thing we need to do. What's that? I pulled up an email on my phone, the one I'd been drafting all morning. Send this to every law firm and financial institution in the state. They need to know who they're really dealing with. Lisa read it over my shoulder, whistling low. This will destroy their careers. Permanently. Good. My phone lit up with another message, a video from the security company. Alejandro's parents were at my front door, shouting and demanding answers. I forwarded it directly to Samson. More evidence, I said, standing up. Ready to give your statement? Born ready. Lisa linked her arm through mine. But first, want to grab coffee? The shop across from your house has a great view of the show. I thought about it. About sitting there, watching their families realize the truth, just like I had weeks ago. But that wasn't who I wanted to be. No, I said finally. Let's give our statements and go home. They're not worth any more of our time. We walked out of the conference room, leaving the airport footage playing behind us. On screen, Alejandro and Kayla were led away in handcuffs, their perfect escape plan in ruins. Sometimes karma needed a push, and sometimes that push came with handcuffs and an FBI escort. The preliminary hearing was set for a crisp Monday morning. I sat in Samson's office, watching him review the final documents while Lisa paced behind me. They're offering a deal, Samson said, sliding a paper across his desk. Full restitution to all victims, written confessions, in exchange for reduced charges. They're desperate, Lisa scoffed. They know they're screwed. My phone lit up with a message from Marcus. Just got the call about the deal. What should we do? Before I could respond, Samson's assistant burst in. Mr. Hayes is here, says he needs to speak with Ms. Hayes immediately. No, Lisa started, but I held up my hand. Let him in. Alejandro looked different after a week in custody. Rumpled suit, unshaven face, dark circles under his eyes. The swagger was gone. 5 minutes, he said, glancing nervously at Samson. Alone. Absolutely not, Lisa snapped. It's okay, I said, standing. We'll use the conference room, with the cameras. Once inside, Alejandro slumped into a chair. You have to help me. I don't have to do anything. Oh, Ava, please. They're talking about serious time, years. And Kayla, she's turning on me. I laughed. Of course she is. That's what happens when you build a relationship on lies. It wasn't all lies. He reached for my hand across the table. I pulled back. What we had was a fraud. I pushed the deal papers toward him. Like everything else about you. I'll sign whatever you want. Give back everything. Just help me make this go away. Make it go away? I leaned forward. Like you did with Marcus, or Janet and David? He flinched. You don't understand. I understand perfectly. You and Kayla had a system. Find successful, trusting people. Infiltrate their lives. Steal everything. Move on. I stood up. But you got sloppy. Got too confident. What do you want? His voice cracked. Name your price. I want you to look at this. I pulled out my phone, showed him the video Lisa had found, him and Kayla laughing about their victims, planning their next moves. Where did you get that? Your precious Kayla kept receipts. Lots of them. Insurance, she called it. The color drained from his face. She recorded everything? Everything. I put my phone away. The FBI has it all now. So does the Bar Association. And tomorrow, the court will have it too. Lisa's eyes widened. Oh my God. They've been planning this for months. Look at these transfers. Small enough to fly under the radar, but they add up. They're planning to leave. I showed her the pattern I'd discovered. Next month, probably, after the Henderson account pays out. How can you be so calm? I wasn't calm. I was nuclear. But rage could wait. Because I'm good at my job, Lisa. Really good. And they have no idea that I know. He buried his face in his hands. I'll lose everything. Now you know how it feels. A knock at the door. Samson. Time's up. Sign the deal, I said, walking to the door. It's the best you're going to get. Wait! He grabbed the papers. What about Kayla? Will she sign too? She already did, an hour ago. I smiled at his shocked expression. Turns out she's better at saving herself than saving you. Back in Samson's office, Lisa was waiting with news. Kayla's lawyer just called. She's giving them everything. Names, dates, account numbers. Good. I checked my watch. The others will be here soon for the final briefing. Are you sure you want to do this? Samson asked. The deal would be cleaner, faster. They don't deserve clean or fast. I looked out his window at the courthouse across the street. They deserve to face every person they hurt. My phone buzzed. Emerson. Just saw Kayla's parents going into the courthouse. They looked devastated. Another message followed quickly, from Janet. We're here, in the lobby, ready when you are. I gathered my things, straightened my jacket. Let's go. Everyone's waiting. The courthouse lobby was packed. Marcus and his parents stood with Janet and David. The Oregon couple huddled with their lawyer. And there, by the entrance, stood Kayla's parents, looking lost and broken. Mrs. Parker, I said, approaching Kayla's mother. I'm sorry you're learning about your daughter this way. She grabbed my arm. Is it true? All of it? Yes. And there's more, much more. She started to cry. Her husband led her away, but not before whispering, Thank you for stopping them. Samson appeared at my side. They're ready for us. As we walked toward the courtroom, I saw Alejandro being led in through a side door, hands cuffed. Our eyes met briefly. He looked away first. Lisa squeezed my hand. Ready? I thought about the past few weeks, the discoveries, the pain, the careful planning. Thought about Marcus losing everything, Janet's tears, David's quiet anger. Thought about every person these two had hurt in their quest for easy money. Ready, I said, pushing open the courtroom doors. Let's finish this. Behind me, I heard Alejandro's voice one last time. Ava, please. But I kept walking. Sometimes the best revenge isn't just exposing the truth, it's making sure everyone hears it. The courtroom fell silent as the video played on the large screen. Kayla's voice filled the room. It's so easy. They trust us completely. Alejandro handles the legal side. I play the friend, and they never see it coming. I watched the judge's face darken as the evidence unfolded. Beside me, Janet gripped her husband's hand. Behind us, Marcus's parents whispered furiously. "Turn it off!" Kayla shouted from her seat. "That was private." "Private like the lives you destroyed?" Marcus stood up, but his father pulled him back down. The judge banged her gavel. "Order, Miss Clark. One more outburst and you'll be removed." My phone buzzed again. Another text from Kayla. "Found the perfect birthday gift for you. Can't wait to give it to you next week." Lisa read the text over my shoulder and swore. "The nerve of that bye." "Let her play her game," I interrupted, already formulating a plan. "I'll play mine." "What are you going to do?" I closed my laptop and looked at my sister. "First, I'm having lunch with my best friend tomorrow. Then I'm going to visit a lawyer, not one from Alejandro's firm. After that?" I managed a smile that felt more like baring teeth. "After that, I'm going to make sure they regret ever thinking they could outsmart me." "Need backup?" "Always." After Lisa left, I went upstairs and lay down next to my sleeping husband. He'd come home late, smelling of his business dinner. Tomorrow, he'd wake up to his loving, unsuspecting wife. He'd kiss me goodbye, go to work, and continue plotting with my best friend to steal my money and break my heart. Alejandro sat separately from Kayla, his attorney looking increasingly defeated as each piece of evidence was presented. The offshore accounts, the falsified documents, the trail of broken lives across 3 states. Samson stood. "Your Honor, we'd like to call our first witness." I walked to the stand, feeling their eyes on me. Kayla wouldn't look at me, but Alejandro stared, silently pleading. "Ms. Hayes," Samson began, "when did you first suspect something was wrong?" "Objection!" Alejandro's lawyer jumped up. "Relevance?" "Overruled." The judge leaned forward. "Continue." I described finding the credit card statement, uncovering the patterns, discovering their previous victims. With each detail, I watched their facades crumble further. "And these accounts?" Samson held up bank statements. "Can you explain their significance?" "Those are the transfer records showing how they moved money between victims. They used my financial expertise without my knowledge, copying my investment strategies to make their fraud look legitimate." "You lying bitch!" Kayla shot up, face contorted. "You knew! You had to know!" "Remove her," the judge ordered. As bailiffs led Kayla out, she screamed accusations until the doors closed behind her. Alejandro's attorney stood. "Your Honor, in light of this evidence, we'd like to change our plea." The courtroom erupted. Marcus pumped his fist. Janet burst into tears. Lisa squeezed my shoulder from her seat behind me. "Quiet!" the judge commanded. "Mr. Hayes, you wish to change your plea to guilty?" Alejandro nodded, defeated. "Yes, Your Honor." What followed was a blur of legal proceedings, victim impact statements, and final testimonies. Janet described losing her life savings. David talked about his children's college funds disappearing. Marcus faced Alejandro directly, describing how the betrayal had nearly destroyed his family. Finally, the judge spoke. "Never in my 20 years on the bench have I seen such calculated cruelty, such deliberate destruction of lives and trust." She shuffled her papers, looked directly at Alejandro. "Mr. Hayes, as an officer of the court, your actions are particularly egregious. Ms. Clark, though not present, shares equal culpability." The sentence came down like thunder. 15 years for each of them. No possibility of early release. Full restitution to all victims. Permanent disbarment for Alejandro. This court is adjourned. As they led Alejandro away, he called out, "Ava, please!" I turned to him one last time. "Goodbye, Alejandro." Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed us. Samson handled the press, while Lisa shepherded me through the crowd. But before we could leave, Kayla's mother approached. "I'm so sorry," she sobbed, hugging me tightly. "We had no idea." "None of us did," I said gently. "That's how they operated." Marcus caught up with us at the bottom of the steps. "Thank you for everything. We're having dinner tonight. All of us victims, I mean. Would you join us?" I looked at the group, Janet and David, the Oregon couple, Marcus and his parents. People brought together by tragedy, united in justice. "I'd like that." My phone buzzed. Emerson. Just saw the news. Congratulations. Wine at my place later? Before I could reply, another message came through, from an unknown number. A text from Kayla's prison phone. You'll regret this. We were friends. Lisa read it over my shoulder. Want me to handle it? No need. I blocked the number. Some friendships aren't worth keeping. As we walked to our cars, Janet fell into step beside me. What will you do now? I'm starting a foundation, I said, to help people identify and recover from financial fraud, using my experience to prevent others from going through this. Count me in, Marcus called from behind us. Whatever you need. The others joined in, offering support, resources, connections. In that moment, standing in the fading sunlight with these survivors, I felt something shift inside me. First, I said, let's have dinner, share our stories. Then tomorrow, we start helping others write better endings to theirs. Lisa linked her arm through mine as we walked away from the courthouse. Behind us, justice had been served. Ahead of us lay purpose, healing, and the chance to turn pain into protection for others. Sometimes the best revenge isn't just winning, it's using that victory to make sure no one else loses. And that's how financial predators operate, I concluded, facing the packed auditorium. They don't look like criminals. They look like your friends, your spouse, your trusted advisors. Hands shot up across the room. A woman in the front row stood without waiting to be called on. How do you do this? Face people after everything that happened? Because every person in this room represents someone who won't become a victim. I gestured to Marcus, standing by the side door. And because I'm not alone. After the presentation, Marcus helped me pack up, while Lisa handled the line of people waiting to speak with me. Third presentation this week, he said, coiling cables. The foundation's really taking off. Speaking of which, I pulled out my tablet. Janet called. 2 more cases just came in, similar pattern to ours. Want me to handle the initial interviews? Please. And David's team identified some suspicious transfers in Oregon. Could you? My phone buzzed. A call from Samson. Hold that thought. Just got word, Samson said without preamble. Kayla's trying to appeal her sentence. Let me guess, claiming she was manipulated by Alejandro? Exactly. But here's the thing. The prison recordings show her trying to set up new schemes from inside. Already sent the evidence to the DA. I ended the call, shared the update with Marcus. Unbelievable, he muttered. Some people never learn. No, but others do. I nodded toward the auditorium doors, where Emerson was leading in another group for the evening session. That's why we're here. The evening group was different, all victims of financial fraud, gathering for mutual support and education. Janet and David were already there, setting up refreshments. Before we start, Janet announced, I have news. The recovery team found another account. We've secured the funds for redistribution to all victims. Applause filled the room. David hugged his wife, tears in his eyes. Their children would have their college funds back. Lisa slipped in beside me. Ready to tell them about the new initiative? I stepped to the front of the room. We're launching a nationwide network. Financial advisors, legal experts, fraud investigators, all working together to identify and stop these crimes before they destroy more lives. Like a fraud prevention task force? Someone asked. Better. I pulled up the presentation. We're creating a system that flags suspicious patterns across multiple institutions. The same patterns that Alejandro and Kayla used to hurt people will now help us protect others. The doors opened and Kayla's parents walked in. The room fell silent. Please, her mother said softly. We want to help. We need to help. I crossed the room, took her hands in mine. You already are. Your testimony helped strengthen the case against similar crimes in 2 other states. The meeting continued. Stories shared, strategies discussed, healing happening in real time. I watched Marcus comforting a newcomer, Lisa coordinating with our legal team, Janet and David sharing their recovery journey. My phone buzzed. A text from the prison chaplain. Alejandro asked to see you. Your decision. No, I typed back. Some chapters need to stay closed. After the meeting, we gathered at Emerson's house, the core team that had grown from victims to advocates. Over wine and takeout, we planned our next moves. The foundation's going national, Lisa announced, pulling up projections. 5 new offices opening next month. Make it 6, Marcus added. Just got approval for the Seattle branch. My phone lit up with a news alert. Financial Fraud Prevention Act passes Senate. The legislation we'd helped draft, inspired by our case, was becoming law. To justice, Janet raised her glass. To prevention, David added. To survival, Marcus said. I looked around at these faces, no longer victims, but warriors. Each carrying scars, each choosing to fight back. My phone buzzed again. Another case, another chance to help. To turning pain into purpose, I said, raising my glass, and to making sure what happened to us never happens to anyone else. Emerson brought out dessert, and the conversation shifted to tomorrow's presentations, next week's cases, next month's initiatives. No one mentioned Alejandro or Kayla anymore. They were just cautionary tales now, lessons learned the hard way. Outside, the city lights twinkled. Somewhere in those lights, someone was planning their next fraud, and somewhere else, someone was falling for it. But now there was a network waiting to catch them both, the predator and the prey. My phone buzzed one last time. A message from a stranger. Saw your presentation today. You saved my life. I was about to trust the wrong person. Thank you. I showed the message to the others, watching their faces light up. This was why we did it. This was how we won, not just by surviving our story, but by helping others write better ones. Sometimes the best endings aren't about closure. They're about opening new doors for others.